This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
I have to break it to you. I normally record this show pantsless.
And Rich Crage.
My God, just play along with it. It's wrestling, man. Just let yourself go for a minute. And we are live on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. He is Joe. Joe, what's happening?
I noticed you constructed a new intro.
Quick little intro. You know, I think about doing a new intro for about a month and a half before I actually do it. So this was good. Yeah, I went and found a classic Flagship clip of you talking about how you do the shows without any pants. So,
well, I'm wearing pants today.
Oh, you sold out. Is this an old age thing? Is this you have to with the other people in the house thing? Because that was.
Hold on a second. What do you mean an old age thing?
Get too cold? I don't know if you get too cold being pantsless.
You're pushing 40. So.
Well, pushing. I don't know if I'm pushing 40.
Well, how old are you?
35.
When I was 35, you constantly told me I was pushing.
Well, you're
40.
old. Well, yes.
So this is.
But you were older than me at that time, so you were older than you're old. I'm not old. I'm still younger. I'm still a young kid here. Still the young boy of this operation.
The point here is I remember everything, and I thought to myself, one day he'll be 35, and I'm going to tell him he's pushing 40. You know what they call that in the biz, Rich?
Callback.
A receipt.
Oh. We got a lot of those this week, baby. Oh, we got a lot of those.
Perfectly to set up the show. See what I did there?
This is good. Yeah, wrestling is. I actually, if you listen to that clip, it's actually a very fun clip. You talk about. This is Single Joe, obviously, at that time, the pantsless. You talk about how you would run to the grocery store to get like buffalo wings from the grocery store buffalo wings, and then you got buffalo wing sauce all over your white shirt. So you were just the most stereotypical. The way you were describing it, you were just the perfect like Italian stereotype. You had the the athletic tee. Every other name is cancelable, so I'm not going to say all the other names or whatever. But the white athletic tee, no pants with chest hair hanging out of it, and then you had a stain of buffalo sauce on it.
Oh, you mean the wife beater?
Correct. Or I guess you could say the other one. I don't want to offend the Italians. I don't want Vinny Massaro coming getting down my throat again like he always does. So I
happen to be Italian, so I can say guinea tea is what you're.
Oh, I was thinking of the one with the D word in there.
You know a lot of derogatory terms for the clothes that Italians wear.
See, this is what I'm saying. That's why I'm staying out of this. I don't want to be a part of this. Vinny Massaro's crafting a response right now.
I do not wear the that item that you're talking about, but I was never a fan of those. I feel I don't know, it's too breezy. So, but what I do wear is the plain white T-shirt, 2 sizes too small to accentuate the guns. I do wear that.
So, like just a Hanes classic undershirt.
Classic, plain white.
Fruit of the Loom. I guess I shouldn't assume you're a Hanes. You might be a Fruit of the Loom fan, yeah.
The brand's not important.
Whatever the house brand of Kohl's is, whatever.
What's important is a couple sizes too small,
Fair. Yeah.
to show off the masculinity. And I like them crisp and white. So after a couple wears, they go in a different pile in the drawer. Like I might sleep in them after that. But, I'm not running to the grocery store in them unless they're crisp and white. You see?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's what the kids in TLB call my uniform, quote unquote.
Your uniform.
I wear shorts and the skin tight white T-shirt, and that's like what I wear every single day. So, but no, not that other item with all of your derogatory terms.
Right, which I will not address right now.
I'm extremely offended by the way.
I assume you are. Yes. Yeah.
You're going to need a talking to. Because
I need some tisk DMs for sure. So,
well, you join the club. But at least
I get enough for you. I get enough for
right. At least they'll be directed to you.
Yeah, instead of me saying, I don't know, man. Talk to Joe about it.
Yeah, instead of having to say, "Why are you bothering me?" Go tell Joe that you're mad at him for some tweet from 9 years ago. Yeah, that's what's going on. I set you up with the receipt line to set up the show, but
no, we're there.
Another do you want to redo the bit so I can say
no? It wasn't that far. We didn't go that far off track. We have to get a little banter in there. We got to get a little playful banter before we get into the wrestling. But yeah, I really don't want to do a ton of banter because we have a ton of stuff to get to this week on the flagship. We have wrestling going on all across the world, big time wrestling going on. We have RevPro doing a doubleheader this week in the UK. We're going to talk about that. 2 York Hall shows celebrating their 10th anniversary. Impact Wrestling Emergence. I was there live at the Cicero Stadium. We'll talk some more Italian history when we talk about the Cicero Stadium in Cicero, Illinois later on this very show. Talk about Impact Wrestling's Emergence 2022, a show I was at featuring a spectacular main event between Josh Alexander and Alex Shelley that we'll touch on. West Coast Pro, the West Coast Cup, if we get time, we'll touch on that later in the night because West Coast Pro, one of my favorite indies going right now. They have a really, really cool tournament coming up this weekend, so excited to touch on that. Joe, unfortunately, we're going to have to hold a funeral for NXT UK, but that's okay because we got NXT Europe, and I'm sure all the roster members of NXT UK were very happy that their jobs were not lost, that NXT Europe was going to come. Oh, wait, never mind, they fired most of them. So we'll talk about all the ones that unfortunately got fired and what's in store for the new NXT Europe. We also have the G1 Climax. We're going to talk about the semifinals and the finals. Okada winning the G1, so we'll talk about where that puts him in history in terms of amount of G1 wins, and then the tremendous Okada versus Ospreay match that was in the finals. But before we do any of that, we do have to start out with AEW, which is just officially the most pro wrestling company to ever pro wrestle at this point. I mean, there's just shit going on up and down the company, man. It's an absolute shit show, and I love it. It's so professional wrestling. Like, the WWE is so for like the last 20 years or so, WWE has been pretty much just like guys know where they are in the pecking order. There's a clear hierarchy. There's a clear leader. Like, yeah, some guys will rock the boat here and there, and some guys will say some stuff here and there, but that's not a true wrestling company. A true wrestling company is this shit. People just going at each other's throats, hating one another, backstage drama, backstage bullshit, all this stuff. That is true pro wrestling. And AEW is, if nothing more, just an unabashedly a pro wrestling company. And we got to talk about CM Punk's promo to start off this week's episode of Dynamite. Joe, you did a quick Thursday tier reviews earlier today at flagshippatreon.com. The beginning of that, the first time in about 10-15 minutes or so, was breaking down the CM Punk Hangman Page, whatever's going on right now, whatever you can call it, whatever you want to describe it as. Let's obviously, for people that listen to that, there's a lot more detail in that piece, flagshippatreon.com, $5 tier, if you want to listen to that. But what can we say kind of quickly about the Hangman CM Punk situation, the promo that CM Punk did on Dynamite? Where are we at with both men? What's real? What's fake? What's a shoot? What's a work? This is just wild stuff going on, and I don't think it's going to get resolved this week either. This is big stuff going on right now.
Well, Dave Meltzer on his audio show early this morning, he kind of opened up the can of worms because he said that the beginning of Punk's promo, where he called out Hangman Page, and then obviously Hangman didn't come out to the ring, and he said that's not cowboy shit, that's coward shit. And then Punk dropped a very weird line: the apology needs to be as loud and public as the disrespect, was the line, which I'm sure went over the heads of 99% of viewers because it doesn't make any sense in any kind of storyline canon or anything like that. So, look, it's like I said behind the paywall. I can't verify or confirm that Dave is right, that Punk went into business for himself with that Hangman stuff at the beginning of his promo. According to Meltzer, no one knew he was going to do that, and he just kind of went into business for himself. And took a shot at Hangman. So, nobody has told me that. So I can't confirm that. It's not that I think, Mike Johnson a few hours later had the same report, or basically verified, Dave's report. And I think Sean Ross Sapp did the same a few hours later as well. So, if they want to put their name on that as well, that's fine if they've heard that. But I didn't hear that. What I heard was, and how I'm approaching it is, that's entirely plausible that Punk went into business for himself on Hangman because of the history between these two guys. Because months ago, in the build to, I always get the pay-per-views mixed up.
Double or Nothing,
right?
Double or Nothing, yeah.
Yeah, so in the build to Double or Nothing, there was that weird promo, which has since been come to be known as the workers' rights promo. And if you remember on this show, like, I went berserk about that promo.
Oh, you wouldn't stop. You wouldn't stop talking about that dumb promo.
Because I sensed that something was weird and off about it.
Well, you always, your thing is it's always in the eyes. All you have to do is look at people's eyes when you can tell that you can't lie through your eye. Like, the eyes are always going to tell the truth, right. Always tell. And if you remember that promo when he said the workers' rights thing, there was a weird, that Punk, if you look back at the promo, Punk's got a weird look in his eyes. You know what I mean? He's got a little bit of a, okay. Yeah, like, it's strange, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to rehash that whole promo or the discussion, but, and I know, in our little circle, on our Discord, among our listeners, the whole workers' rights thing became a meme because, the segment was funny and did I push it a little further than I needed to for entertainment purposes? Of course I did. I mean, people understand what we're doing here. But the promo to me was weird, and I did sense that something was off about it. And you just very badly wanted to change the subject because you didn't want the commies coming after us. And everyone and people turned it into a meme, and that's fine. But can I at least take a little victory lap? That there was
a little one, yeah, take a little one. I mean, not too long. Maybe one run around the track. Maybe we don't need to do the whole mile. Maybe quarter mile is probably fine. Can we concede that my instincts were good on the weird promo? Well, you are good at guessing stuff. You are very good at guessing stuff. So this may have been another one that you guessed again. So.
Tremendous guesser. But anyway, that after that promo, and I had heard this months ago, that Punk was irate and there was a closed-door meeting with Tony Khan. Punk, Hangman Page, Tony Khan. And this is something I heard months ago, and I told you this months ago, and I alluded to it in the paywall rooms of our Discord months ago. And, that's why, I understand a lot of people are going to naturally think that this is all a work because we just had the MJF thing, and that's obviously a storyline. And naturally you're going to think, all right, well, they're just building 2 matches. So, this stuff is planted. It's a work. And I understand. I'd probably think the same thing if I hadn't heard that Punk and Hangman had this heat going back many months before Double or Nothing, before the Punk injury, before the Punk title win. And it's understandable that people think that this may be some kind of 4D chess being played by Tony Khan or something, planting stories in the media or whatever. Listen, I reached out to Tony Khan today about all of this, and he completely no-sold me. So if Tony Khan is feeding stories to people, he's not feeding any to me, okay? Because I tried, before I did my audio today to talk to Tony Khan, and, he was having none of it. I just never heard back from him. Completely no-sold. So the other piece that I heard months ago was that Punk allegedly told Hangman, you're a future star in this business, and I think you're a great talent, but I will never job for you. And that's paraphrasing, so.
Right, and I think you've said that you're not sure if he said that to Hangman's face or just said it to a wrestler kind of offhandedly, but that you wouldn't be surprised. Punk's not one to really not, confrontation doesn't bother him. So it's, you don't know for a fact, but it's not, it wouldn't be a surprise if Punk walked up to Hangman Page and told him that exact thing.
Can I tell you definitively he said that to Hangman's face? No, I cannot tell you that.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, if you want, sure. Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
I could be salacious and do that, but I can't tell you that. But someone tipped me off that Punk had been telling people that he respects Hangman Page as a wrestler, but he's never losing to him. So that raised my eyebrow, and I for the last, and then I dug around. And then I got enough people to kind of back it up to where I was like, holy shit, he said that. I believe he said it. Now, I can't tell you he said it to Hangman's face, but he's telling people that. I can tell you he's telling people that. What I can tell you is this. I can't verify whether Punk went into business for himself last night. Okay? That's Meltzer's story. That's Mike Johnson's story. That's Sean Ross Sapp. Okay? And I'm not saying they're wrong. I can't personally verify that. So I'm not going to hop on that bandwagon and pretend that I'm in on that one. I'm not. That's not my story. Okay? What I can verify is there was a closed-door meeting between the three of them, Tony Khan, Hangman Page, and CM Punk, before Double or Nothing, after the promos that Punk took exception to. And I can tell you that Punk was telling people at the time that he will never lose to Hangman Page. Now, this was months and months ago. And the other thing I don't know, and I tried to reach out to some people today and, heard back from some, didn't hear back from others. I don't know if Punk still feels that way. I don't know if he said that in the heat of the moment. I don't know if he said that, if he's kind of changed course on that. I don't know if they're turning it into a storyline. I don't know. That I can't tell you. All I know is it was said. And when Meltzer had his report today that Punk went into business for himself, to me that cracked the door open. And I was like, oh, well, I have something here that I can contribute. That I heard months and months ago. The Punk quote, I got third hand. A person who knows a person that it was said to, right? So I'm not going to go writing stories on something I got third hand. I'm not going to come on the air and talk about something I got third hand. I don't even like talking about things I got second hand, right? Without verifying it. But I poked around and did some digging, and, it turns out there's some teeth to it. And as far as the closed door meeting, I can tell you with absolute certainty that happened. That absolutely happened. So if people think this is all a work, I get it. I'd probably think it was a work too. But here, if it's a work, they would have had to look. Was that closed door meeting part of the work? Did they plant the seeds for this work with a closed door meeting before the pay-per-view show? A week before Double or Nothing, it's just implausible. And coming on the heels of the MJF thing, if they are going to work the entire locker room again with this thing, now we are firmly in WCW territory.
Right. And
we're just fucking with everybody and working everyone. This is not a work. At least what I'm telling you that I know. Those portions of this are not a work.
Right.
They just can't be.
Mm-hmm.
Am I telling you they're not going to lean into all this controversy? I'm not telling you. Of course, they'd be stupid not to. If you can get these people to work together and be professionals when the bell rings, of course you lean into it. There's be no reason not to. Just to be clear, do I believe Dave Meltzer when he says that Punk went into business for himself? Do I believe Mike Johnson? Do I believe Sean Ross Sapp? I do. I personally do.
Yeah, well, and I was...
Your mileage may vary, but I believe them.
Right, and one thing I was going to bring up, and it does relate to the MJF thing as well, is there was a long time where you and I used to say that, like, one thing that AEW has done so far is they don't lie to the media, and they don't lie to their locker room. And I don't know if that's still the case anymore. It remains to be seen about the MJF stuff. Obviously, different reports have differed in terms of what was real and what was fake about that. What was a work and what was a shoot, who was getting what information and what was it was that sort of stuff where it was the first time it was truly confusing of like, all right, I don't know what's going on and the locker room doesn't seem to know what's going on. So if this is all a work, then they're working their own locker room. And and we talked about it at the time, that's a very, very, very dangerous thing to do. WCW fucked around and found out what that was like when you lie to your locker room and there's no trust between your locker room and fellow wrestlers and your locker room and management and your locker room, and it's not good. It's a terrible way to operate a wrestling business. It never ever goes well. And we talked about okay, if this MJF stuff is kind of a shoot work thing or whatever, then they're towing a very it's a very interesting line they're trying to tow here, and I don't know if it's a great way to go about it. If we now follow up a couple months later with this thing, and this has working the boys in it again and working the media again, then I think you're really starting to get into what I would call pretty dangerous territory with, as you said, now two pretty high profile examples of them lying to the media, lying to their fan base, lying to the fan base is fine, it's wrestling, that's cool, but lying to, the locker room, where people in the locker room genuinely do not know what's real and what's fake and who's actually mad and and that's never good. I mean, that's just not, you need to, at the very least, if you're going to work the media, at least the locker room has to all be in lockstep and all know what's going on, I think, at all times. For it now to be as an example where, like you're saying, and I'm just doing this as a hypothetical. I don't know I don't know anything. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I'm just saying if this is like a grand plan by Punk and Hangman and Tony to say, haha, let's really make people think that you guys hate each other, yada, yada, all that sort of stuff. That's a really dangerous thing to do. And it usually does not result in success. Like, it doesn't usually result in business success. And very, very rarely does it result in like the locker room being like, oh, hey, that was awesome how everybody lied to us. And, we all thought, and we all looked like idiots, thinking these guys really hated each other when they didn't. It just never does. It just never, ever works out. So they'd be towing a very dangerous line if they did that again here with this Page Punk thing. So now I don't know where we are exactly, because I can't believe 100% that meeting ended and all three guys shook hands and said, all right, we got him. Let's go with this now. Let's do this. Like that seems like a lot, but I wonder if they are, like you said, going to do maybe a little bit of a blended approach where these guys hate each other's fucking guts. They can't stand each other. But let's try to maximize what we have out of that as much as we can, and maybe little jabs here and there, coward shit. Then Hangman can come back in a couple weeks and say there's definitely ways to now, I think, use the real life anger and the real life hatred to maybe use for storyline, if that is the plan, or these guys truly just absolutely fucking despise each other, and then it's just not going to happen. I don't know. Well, I don't know where we are right now.
Well, let's break down what Punk had to say. I mean, the idea is he felt blindsided and disrespected by some of the directions that Hangman took their feud leading into Double or Nothing. Okay,
yes. And for people that are going to say, well, why is he upset about that? I don't know. Ask Phil Brooks. Like, you know what I mean? Like that you see a lot of that. Like, and I saw all members of the media getting this. People were saying, well, Punk was upset about the he was like, what the hell is he upset about? What? I don't know. Talk to Phil Brooks about that.
Well,
man.
Okay, he's CM Punk.
Right. He's like, I don't know. Are you new here? He gets upset about a lot of stuff. Little stuff too. Somebody brought up, I forget who it was. I'm sorry, I don't remember who brought it up. But there was a time where he came back to Ring of Honor one time, and the entire crowd, he had been away for a little while, and he came back, and all 3,000 people or whoever were there were cheering him, and one guy was like, boo, CM Punk sucks. And who do you think Phil Brooks spent half the promo getting mad about?
Yeah.
That guy. He's us. he's like, so a lot of people like us, but like 4 people don't like us, so fuck those. You know what I mean? Like those people, well, more than 4. Maybe 4 people don't like me. More than 4 hate you. But But it's CM Punk, man. I don't know. I'm not going to explain to you why CM Punk is mad about something. That's his problem. We're just telling you. We're telling you.
I'm just telling you that
what upset him. You can now decide. Well, why does that upset? I don't know why it upsets him. I'm telling you that something upset him to the point where they had to have a closed door meeting with the boss. Right.
Okay. You can speculate on what it was or whether it should have, but the point here is that was the start of it. That's where he felt slighted or disrespected or whatever. So the calling out Hangman just to set up calling him a coward, that's the receipt. Okay? If we're working off the premise that he went into business for himself, that part of this is the receipt. Okay, to make Hangman look bad and make him look like and straight up not make him look like a coward, call him a coward.
Yeah, it's a straight up say you're a coward shit. Yeah,
I could buy that where someone would see, excuse me, where someone would think that part of it smells like a work because you're building a match. The next part, though, and these were his exact words, after he calls Hangman a coward, he says, the apology needs to be as loud and public as the disrespect. And then he moves on to Moxley. Well, what part of the storyline or what part of kayfabe does that have anything to do with? What did Hangman Page ever do to CM Punk in storyline to necessitate Punk wanting an apology? That's what doesn't add up to the it's a, because that the other part, sure, they were in a feud for the world title, and in storyline they're not fond of each other, and I could see Punk punking the guy out, no pun intended. but the part where he's calling for an apology, a public and loud apology, that doesn't fit into the storyline. There's nothing that Hangman would need to apologize to Punk for publicly. So, you know, and look, it's pro wrestling. People are naturally going to think everything is a work. I get it. Rich, we do the same thing.
So I did last night. I did last night before I was telling people we were in our Discord, and I was like, everybody was going, "Oh my god, oh my!" And I was saying, just calm down. I don't, you know, maybe it's not like more of just like, let's see, instead of just assuming right out of the gates that this must be, you know, people saying, well, why didn't Hangman come out? Oh, it makes Hangman look like an asshole. Oh, Hangman looks like a coward. I'm saying, but just calm down. Like, we'll see. Maybe something is going to change. Maybe Hangman comes out later. Maybe Hangman comes out next week. Like, let's let the story play out. Let's let things go. And then little by little, new stuff kind of comes out, and new stuff comes out, and new stuff comes out. And it's like, okay, maybe this isn't exactly what I thought, because I honestly last night earnestly was just like, oh, okay, well, this is setting up, they're using what they know that some people know, kind of the backstage tension between the two to kind of address, so that Hangman now could come out next week and say, oh, no, you can call me out when I'm not in town or whatever, but you know, now I'm here, where are you, where are you, yeah, like that sort of stuff that you could do. But then obviously hearing more and more about the stuff and Dave Meltzer's reports and other people's reports, then it was like, okay, now I don't know anymore.
Yeah, all I can tell you is they had heat with each other. Hangman wasn't happy with Punk, and it's a lot of this goes back to, and I get into this on the Thursday Dynamite review. That's the name of the show now, by the way, Rich. Thursday Dynamite review, not Thursday TV.
That's
reviews.
True. Yeah, you're not. The world of MLW has stopped in your mind.
Well, I haven't. It's been strictly a Dynamite review for like 2 years or something.
Right. It seems like a good time to not.
So why am I still calling it the Thursday TV reviews? It's a Dynamite review. But
it's also called the Thursday Dynamite review, and you're reviewing a show that happened on Wednesdays. I know it's happening on you're reviewing it on a Thursday.
The review itself is on Thursday. Well, the genesis of that is I used to do two audio television. I used to do the Monday TV reviews and the Thursday TV reviews. And Monday I would do 2 or 3 shows. Thursday I would do 2 or 3 different shows. Then I dropped the Monday reviews, and I was just doing the Thursday TV reviews, and those were Dynamite and usually MLW. Then MLW, with their weird schedule, they start and stop, and and then there's nothing to review, or I just don't want to review it anymore, or the people tell me that, and then eventually it just became a Dynamite review. So I just changed the name of the show to Thursday Dynamite Review. I don't know. So anyway, that's the history lesson for people who aren't longtime listeners or subscribers. But there's people who weren't even aware what TLB stood for.
I know, still. Yeah, I can't believe it.
We take for granted that everyone's been listening since 2012, but we're constantly picking up new listeners, and a lot of the shit that we say is like, they're new. They don't understand any of this stuff. But what I was saying was, behind the paywall on the Thursday Dynamite review, I get into this deeper, and there's the quote-unquote AEW originals and the new signings, mostly the ex-WWE guys. I mean, that friction is legitimate, and it's not something that's new. And it's something that has been worked into storylines and promos, particularly when it comes to Punk before. The MJF feud, obviously, had heavy influence in that direction. And even Moxley last night, part of his promo towards Punk was, oh, you're just here for the money. You don't have heart anymore. You're here for the money. You came here because you needed money because you were broke. So
don't forget
again,
Kenny's.
I understand why
Kenny's
people
thing.
would be skeptical.
Did you listen to Kenny's thing after the show too?
I did. Kenny's post show just for the crowd, which always gets recorded. Promo where it seemed like he was sort of taking shots at Punk and some of the newer guys as well. So, with the cosplayer comment, which I assume was directed towards, the Bret Hart fan club that they got going on back there and everything else. And, Dax basically just ripping off Bret Hart matches. I assume that's what Kenny meant by that, but that friction's real, and real life friction works its way into AEW storylines way more than people might think. I mean, so that's another reason why I understand why people would be skeptical of all of this. Look, all I can tell you is, and if you're a listener of mine, then you know my reputation. I don't bullshit on things, and we're not a news site necessarily, but I have a pretty good track. All I could tell you is what I heard months and months ago, and it's that these two guys had heat to the point where they had to have a sit down with the boss, and CM Punk's telling people he won't job to him. So do with that what you will, what you saw last night, okay, and combine that with the reports from some of the other, actual reporters out there. And do with that what you will. I can only tell you what I have known for many months. And, if you want to go into this deeper, again, if you go on the $5 tier and listen to and you get a Dynamite review too, aside from just the scoops, you get what I thought was an excellent Dynamite review too. So, and everything else that comes with the $5 tier. Fuck it. Just do the $10 tier and get everything. But, yeah, I don't know. You got anything else on this, on the controversy specifically, or you want to transition this into them doing Punk and Moxley next week on TV?
Yeah, let's do that, because I think that's, to me, a little bit of an interesting thing, because I'm trying to figure out if there's any sort of way that these things are all related, because it's all just really, really strange. So the first hour of Dynamite is like an all-time first hour of Dynamite. It's a great Punk promo. He's hitting all these points perfectly. You're like, oh man, what is going on? This is chaos. He's building to a match with Hangman. He's building to the match with Moxley at All Out. They're fighting. They're brawling. Moxley comes out later in the show, says like, oh goddamn, we're doing this today. I'm not gonna wait. Let's do this. So then they start brawling again, and then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, leading into the main event, they're about ready to go to I think they're about ready to go to the main event, and Excalibur's doing this thing where he's got to run down like 17 matches in 42 seconds or whatever. And it's always ridiculous and always incredible. And he just kind of says, well, we just got word next week on Dynamite, Jon Moxley versus CM Punk for the unified AEW World Championship. And you could tell that it did seem like even they were taken aback by it. Jim Ross kind of seemed, he usually lets it fly these days. Jim doesn't really sugarcoat anything. So his, well, you're finding out about that just when we did here at the table. Like, I tend to think that that's probably rooted in some reality. Excalibur seemed a little surprised too. Everybody kind of seemed taken aback. And I too was like, whoa, what? We're doing it next week now. All of a sudden we're just doing this thing next week. And I'm at a loss for why they're doing this. I'm at a loss for what the purpose of this is. Do you have any sort of theory of what's going on? Now, I'm biased as somebody who's going to All Out, so I'm in the interest of, I don't really give a shit about TV ratings. I don't really give a shit about, popping numbers or whatever. I want to see a very well anticipated, very well built match at All Out while I'm there live. So like me, I'm disappointed, saying, oh fuck, now it's gonna be on free TV next week. Screw that. I wanted to wait till All Out. I'm going to that show. It felt like a very well built a match. It felt like one that we talked about last week where, all right, you want to sell pay-per-views, Jon Moxley and CM Punk is the way to do it. That's your main event. That's the way to go. So I'm at a complete loss for what would necessitate or what the reason would be for this thing to be on next week's Dynamite. Do you have any ideas, any theories, anything on your end?
Well, if you want to put on your conspiracy hat, maybe
I'm wearing
CM
a hat, but maybe it's a White Sox hat. But yeah, sure, yeah. It's a conspiracy hat now. That's
maybe
fine.
Maybe CM Punk really
tinfoil.
is.
Let me get should I get tinfoil?
Maybe he is truly irate at the company and is truly channeling his hero that he and the FTR boys never shut up about, Bret Hart, and maybe he don't want to do a job in Chicago. So maybe he wants to drop the title next week instead. But that's if you want to put on the conspiracy hat. Look, I don't think it's anything more than, was I surprised they announced it for last week? Of course I was. But because I thought that this would be the match at All Out. And it might still be the match at All Out, for all we know. They might, run it back and do it a second time. But I wasn't stunned that they're quote-unquote giving the match away, because they've done many world title matches and big ones on TV. They did one last week.
Oh, no. And I don't mind them doing this match in a vacuum. Just the idea that we all kind of knew it was, or we all thought at least it was going to happen at All Out. And basically in, the last 20 minutes of the show, we find out, oh no, never mind, it's happening next week. That's just weird. That's weird to do that. It's one thing to say, hey, we're going to have this match on Dynamite. It's going to happen in a couple of weeks. But to do this about face where all of a sudden with 20 minutes left to go on the show, now it's happening next week. That rubbed me weird. Something was weird about that. Something was strange.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There could be something, like I said, if you want to try to drum up conspiracies and tie it into the fact that maybe he went into business for himself, or maybe there's discontent. I mean, there was a Sean Ross Sapp report that there was at least one person said they were concerned that he was going to show up to work. I didn't hear anything like that, but so if you want to go in those sort of directions with it, you can. I'm not reading that deep into it because they've done huge world title matches. They did Hangman Page, Bryan Danielson twice on TV. They just did Jon Moxley versus Chris Jericho. They've done world title matches before on TV. And okay, let's look at it this way. Okay, because I think people are once again missing the plot a little bit. They're going to have 5 pay-per-views this year, right, Rich? They're going to have the 4 usual and Forbidden Door.
Yes, correct.
For the sake of the argument, what do you think those 5... I mean, we could look it up, but we don't have time for that shit. What do you think those 5 pay-per-views are going to average? Can we call it 150,000? You want to just say 150,000 buys?
I'd probably say I'd say somewhere in the range of 130 to 160, 170, that range. I mean, we're not going to get all out last year again. That's not happening.
Right.
That's not happening. So yeah, I would say 150 is probably
Let's call it 150.
Yeah.
Okay. So $50 pop, right?
Yep.
All right. So that would be 150,000 pay-per-view buys times 5 events. So 750,000 pay-per-view buys this year times $50 a pop. That's $37.5 million. Divide by 2, roughly the carrier cut, right? Which is somewhere between 45 and 55% or something like that. So you divide that number by 2, and AEW will net this year off of the pay-per-view buys $18,750,000. Let's call it $18.8 million in pay-per-view revenue after the carriers take their cut.
Yeah.
How much is their television contract? It's a little under $45 million.
Mm-hmm.
So what's more important? The television, which brings in just under $45 million a year, or the pay-per-view, which, fuck it, let's call it 20, is going to bring in $20 million this year. Okay? So that's my point here. I'm not shocked
it's the TV. No, the TV is definitely more important to this company, for sure. I don't think anybody, I wouldn't doubt, I wouldn't argue with that. It's not that the match is happening, it's how the match is happening. Just kind of caught me, and it felt like a lot of people by surprise. It just, I guess you wanted to sell that, okay, this thing started off normal, and then they brawled, and then they brawled, and they brawled, and then there's no choice. We can't let these two men, there's just no way to contain them. It has to happen next week. It just seems bizarre. I don't know. It's they've built, pay-per-view level title matches on Dynamite a lot. They've done that. Something about this one just struck me a little strange, especially doing it as close as they did to All Out. Just a couple. I mean, we're
you know what?
We're 2 weeks out. I mean, we're 2-3 weeks out. Like, why couldn't you just wait?
Because then what's the match? And then you only have 2 weeks to build.
That's because now, okay, cool. Then Moxley wins. Let's say hypothetically Moxley wins. Right. All right. Well, now what's the main event of All Out? Now you have 2 weeks to build to that.
I totally get it, and I'm not saying I wasn't surprised either, but I see the mindset. I mean. And it's not like it's unprecedented that they do this, but it did come together. Look, and the match after last week felt hot, and after the opening segment this week, it feels molten. It feels molten, and I guess we're going to find out if it really is when the number comes in next week, because Dynamite's basically been doing the same exact total viewership and demo for like forever, seemingly forever, okay? And I know a lot of people have been panicking over those numbers. I have not. I'm going to tell you why. They do basically the same number every week, and they've been number 1 for like 7 or 8 straight weeks. There were like 2 weeks in there where they were tied for number 1 in the demo and technically finished second if you estimate it down to the 100th of a point. So for all intent and purpose, they've been number 1 on Wednesdays for like 7 or 8 straight weeks, either number 1 or tied for number 1. And yes, they're down from last year. But if they're down from last year and they're still number 1 every week, that tells you that Wednesdays are just down from last year. Because if they dipped and nobody else, then they wouldn't be number 1 every week. If they were down year over year and they were, finishing 12th on cable, then I think that'd be a bigger problem. but you have to take into consideration they're still number one on Wednesdays. Do I think it's good that they've plateaued in this way? No. Do I think it's a disaster and the panic button and they're never going to grow? No. That's why when I talk behind the paywall, I don't really harp on the ratings all that much. I don't think they're all that newsworthy, to be honest. Now, if they do Punk and Mox next week, and it's not a bait and switch.
Yeah, if they get 950,000 next week, then that's
correct. You know, and it's safe to assume it's not any kind of bait and switch because Tony Khan has never done that. Tony Khan has never, ever done a bait and switch.
Well, and I've seen a lot of people say, oh, there's going to be some fuck finish, and that's going to lead to the pay-per-view. And that, again, that would kind of be new ground for them.
That would be new ground. And look, maybe they will do
right, but that's new. So,
finish.
like, I can't say that they're going to do. I can't immediately go to that just yet because they just haven't done that yet. So that, I mean, that would surprise me because that's just not been their MO. They don't usually give away these types of matches and then not deliver on them and then just make you, oh, hey, go buy the pay-per-view in 3 weeks because, the rematch is going to happen and, because like this match, the bell's going to ring and then these guys are going to fight and they're going to get disqualified. Oh, we're going to make it no DQ on Sunday, so go watch All Out. Like, that would be, I mean, that's kind of, that's not what they've done so far. This company has not done that. Other wrestling companies love this sort of shit. Other wrestling companies live for those sort of builds. AEW hasn't done that yet. So if they might do that. I'm not saying they're not going to. It's just they haven't done that yet. So it doesn't cross my mind immediately just because that's not the way that they've booked so far.
Right. There's
but
no reason to think they're going to do it because they've never done business that. Do I think there's a way to do a non-finish in a non-cheap way? Yes, I do. I mean, there could be a scenario where they could have a match and just get into a violent brawl, up into the fucking concession stand and the referee throws it out or something. And there's ways you could probably get away with it. They've just never done that sort of thing. So I don't know. I'm just going to assume they're doing a title match next week and we're going to have no more interim champion. So, but then it's risky because you got 2 weeks to build a pay-per-view main event. A pay-per-view that only has like 2 other matches or 3 other matches so far official. And if this match, which feels molten hot, does the same 975,000 viewers and a 0.32, that is when I will say, okay, something's going on because this match felt big and it didn't mean anything for TV. This match has to be up. It has to be. The rating next week must be up. It has to be. And I'll tell you what, if it's not, then it's also time to start having a conversation where CM Punk can't be throwing his weight around and cut and shoot promos.
Right. How much are you worth right now, pal? Like,
right.
Everybody fucking hates you and you're annoying and you're causing a bunch of issues. But if you're drawing money and you're making, like he said in his promo, like, I'm the one that makes the dollars and the cents around here.
Right.
If you stop doing that, then
you're going to say that. You got to back that up.
Right. If you stop doing that, then are you worth all this trouble?
You can't draw the same number Jericho did 2 weeks earlier, because then all of that stroke is gone. Well, I mean, he'll still have a bigger contract than everybody else. We know how that works in sports, but you get the idea. So yeah, no, the match has to deliver. You can't put up the same 0.32, 975 that you've been doing and then say, well, we were number one again. No, not with this match, because this felt like a pay-per-view main event, and the build has been incredible. It's only been a 2-week build, but it's felt, like I said, it's felt like a volcanic eruption, molten hot. So there's a difference, though, sometimes between how something feels and then what the reality is, and we're going to find out next week if it draws. So that's going to be a fun rating to wait for and anticipate, because this is a real test to see whether, all of our sort of buzzo meters are off, because I think everybody feels like this is a huge match. Well, if it doesn't draw, then it wasn't as big as we thought. And I think all of this controversy helps them, which again feeds into people saying, it's all a work because, this is going to be in the news cycle for at least a few more days. And then maybe somebody will speak and it'll put it back in the news cycle and then before you know it, it's Wednesday again. So, whether Punk went into business for himself or not, I can tell you this with the promo last night. He successfully built 2 matches.
Yes.
At least I think he did.
Right.
Because both of those matches feel hot now. Whether CM Punk and Hangman Page legitimately can't stand each other or not, that's immaterial now. because the seeds have been planted and a lot of people think that they do hate each other's guts. And that always, at least on paper, makes a match more interesting if they do eventually get around to doing that match. You know, if you want to play conspiracy theory the other way, there's a lot of little hints that they do hate each other and that Punk did say he wouldn't lose to him. Why else would Hangman Page, who, by the way, I believe is ranked number 1, if I'm not mistaken, why else would Hangman Page constantly say he doesn't feel like he's going to get a title shot anytime soon?
Yeah.
Why else would he say that? Well,
it makes a lot more sense now. Yeah, there was a lot of those weird where you're like, why does he keep saying that? But, you know.
Yeah, well, if the champion told you he's not going to wrestle you or lose to you, then you might want to work that into your promos.
Sure.
So you don't look like a goof that you're never getting a title shot. So, I mean, look, we could do this all day. We can sit here and do pardon the interruption and do a worked argument where you take the side that this is all a work and I take the side where this is all a shoot, and we could throw these little examples back and forth all day long. Okay? People are acting like fucking Inspector Clouseau all day, like the AEW Twitter account. First, they tweet out the Moxley promo with all the CM Punk stuff cut off, with all the Hangman Page stuff cut off of the promo. Then a couple hours later, they tweet out another version of the promo where everything is intact. So it's like, whatever narrative you want to push, you have your ammunition. You've got the promo without the Hangman stuff, and then you've got the promo with everything intact. It's like, what makes you think that the AEW social media manager, who's always been a disaster?
Oh, no, I think that old guy, that guy's gone. The disaster guy is gone, I believe. It has not been as...
Deanne Ciccone Frazier's gone. But it hasn't been any better since
it's not as bad. I can't say it's good, but it's not as bad.
It's gone from train wreck to tire fire. I mean, it's not good
it's a smoldering tire fire. It's still hot to the touch. I don't know that it's like actively like when our main man was there. What was the full name again?
Deanne Ciccone Frazier.
Yeah. That was a train wreck, just a train wreck and a ball of flames every single day. That was not good. It's warm to the touch still. It's still warm to the touch. I wouldn't call it a full on tire fire.
The point here is, do you think they're in total lockstep with everybody's? No, that person's job is to take interesting clips off the show and tweet them out. Okay, they might get told something later if somebody doesn't want something up, but my point here is people are just. Now we're all playing fucking, Sherlock Holmes. And trying
right. I think there's actually even another layer. I think when they first posted the clip last night, it had the clip. They posted a clip of Punk's promo on Twitter, and it had the Hangman stuff in there. And then they uploaded to YouTube a part of the promo that didn't have it in there, and then eventually uploaded the full internet. So there's layers upon layers upon layers. Yes,
layers upon layers. And I stopped listening to you 15 seconds. I don't care about any of this. It's just utter nonsense. It doesn't mean anything.
This company, like, think about this. Like, you can kind of understand where some of the inner workings and what's going on in this company. All that sort of. Do you honestly think there's an @all email that's, hey guys, I just wanted to follow up that CM Punk (Phil Brooks) is going to cut a quote work shoot promo on one Hangman Adam Page. We'd like you all to first tweet out a clip of the promo and then afterwards delete that and then do a edit of the part and then later 8 hours later upload a full clip of that. Thank you for your understanding. Let me know if you have any questions, -TK and then sent out, I don't think that's happening, but maybe I'm wrong.
It's just, it's people, what people do in these scenarios is they look for evidence to support their hypothesis. And then they cling to any piece of evidence that might support their opinion on what's happening. That's all. So to me, it's all noise. I don't have any time for it. But yeah, I mean, the number will tell the tale as to whether this is in fact a hot match, and then what they do for the pay-per-view. According to Meltzer, it is not Punk Hangman. At least that wasn't the original plan for the pay-per-view, despite Punk's promo. So I don't know. Do they just do this match again? Does it take some of the edge off of it if you do it on TV 2 weeks earlier? I mean, that all depends how it plays out on TV. I can't answer that. I have to see how the match comes off on TV to determine whether it'll still be a hot match on pay-per-view 2 weeks later. I think it's impossible to assess until you see how things feel coming out of the match that they're going to have next week. So, I mean, where do you stand on that?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I just don't. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it would be very, very strange for them to do some sort of fuck finish, a double DQ, a double count out, and just say, "Oh, these men, we're at All Out, we're gonna do no count out, no, or we're gonna put it in a cage, or something dumb like that." That's just not what they've done so far. I suppose you could have these two guys go to like a time limit draw and then run it back, but then I feel like I don't know. Like you said, it's molten right now. Right now, it feels hot as fuck. I don't know if they have a 60-minute match that you're going to say, oh, you know what? I can't wait for in 3 weeks these guys to wrestle again. Like, I don't know that these two guys are those kind of workers. You know what I mean? And that's taking nothing away from Moxley and Punk, who I think are tremendous workers, but their work is so much built in how they talk you into the building, the type of words they use, the promos, the package, and then the brawl that happens. Like, I don't want to see these guys wrestle for 60 minutes and then wait 2 more weeks and then see them wrestle for 35 minutes again. Like, that doesn't interest me as much. Well, yeah, I would still enjoy it. It'd probably still be a pretty fun match, but, like, it doesn't feel like that. They're not those kind of workers. I feel like you can do this one time with this sort of buzz and heat to it. I don't know that you can run it back, so I don't know what they do. I honestly have no earthly idea what they do. A Hangman runs in, MJF runs in, you break it up that way. But then again, like, that's just not what they've done so far. That's kind of WWE shit. I hate it.
You said something interesting there, which was going to be my my big kicker to the conversation here. Is I think an example of a fuck finish that would work, that no one would complain about, is MJF getting involved. I don't think anyone would have a problem with that.
No.
If MJF hopped the rail and jumped CM Punk, if MJF took that box off of his head and it wasn't Kip Sabian and cost CM Punk the match and the title, when MJF said, I don't know exactly.
I'll give you the worst loss of your life, or something like that. Yes. Was the worst. You'll have the most embarrassing loss of your life, or something to that effect.
I promise you, I will be the cause of the worst, most embarrassing loss of your life. Something to that. We're paraphrasing poorly, but
as usual, as per usual.
So if something like that went down, I think people would accept that.
Yeah, but then do you want to see Punk and Mox then 3 weeks later? Or do you want to see Punk and MJF then?
No, then you don't do Punk and Mox on the pay-per-view. You do Punk and MJF.
Okay. Yeah. That works. That's fine.
Mox is your champion and does whatever it is he's going to do, but the real main event is Punk and MJF.
Right. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, if they do something like that, no one would complain about that for 2 reasons. Number one, AEW never does that. So if you don't overdo a trope, or if it's new to you in your universe, right, people are a little more forgiving. And the other and far more important factor is that it's the return of MJF. And when MJF returns, and I don't know who needs to hear this, to use an overused phrase, okay? I don't know who needs to hear this. That's going to be the biggest fucking thing in wrestling when he returns, bar none. And if he returned under these circumstances and cost CM Punk the title, obviously that's going to be huge. And just thinking that through, in my head, that would easily pop an enormous buy rate on the pay-per-view. Ooh, I said buy rate.
Oh,
pop a massive amount of buys.
Mukigana, if he could ever sign on to Twitter, he's going to get mad at you.
Yeah, massive amount of buys on pay-per-view 2 or 3 weeks later. So that's what I mean when I say there are ways to do a fuck finish. I have to see what they do. And maybe they won't do a fuck finish. Maybe we're just getting a fucking fight to the finish and someone comes away. I need to see how this all comes across and how it plays out before I determine whether they have sufficient time to build a hot pay-per-view main event. That's my point here.
So that's next week. Yeah, I mean, it's got me anticipating Dynamite for sure. I mean, I'll be tuning in live. I'm usually I tend to.
Will you now?
Yeah, well, I watched live this week too.
So you're gonna watch live next week too?
I think so. Well, I see what you're saying. I see what you're getting at.
Well, something to think about.
I see what you're getting at. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
something to think about.
That's how the plans go. Yeah, but not the worst idea. Not the worst idea. Don't want to say yes right now because. We could use a
little bump for the August.
No pay-per-views in August. So
September's going to be big, but we could use a little.
Yeah, all right. I hear. I get what you're laying down, Joe, and I think the listeners get what you're laying down. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, we'll stay down.
We'll bumperoo for the August. The August needs something.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's FlagshipPatreon.com. Keep an eye on that for the next couple of days. Yeah. get those plans together. But so that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. All Out, we have a little bit now that we've, Punk and Mox is presumably not on All Out anymore. We have so far matches: Trios Tournament Final. Obviously, we'll talk about Kenny Omega returning in a bit here. Wardlow and FTR versus Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt. And then Thunder Rosa versus Toni Storm for the women's title. So those are the confirmed matches that we have. You can pretty much lock it in. It's not official yet, but I am going out on a limb and saying that Danielson and Jericho will be on the pay-per-view too. I believe Jungle Boy and Christian all but needs to kind of just be confirmed, but that will probably be All Out as well.
Jungle Boy and Christian is a stone cold lock.
He basically said, "Let's do it." I think Christian just didn't say, "Yeah, I'll do it." That's all we're waiting for. But yeah, that's happening. For sure. I
think Danielson Jericho is maybe 75%. And I think Starks and Hobbs should get a pay-per-view match.
Hell yeah, they should. Yeah, they really should.
They should. They absolutely should. We'll see. And we know the Trios final is on the pay-per-view too, which, man, I'm really starting to think it's going to be Dark Order versus the Bucks and...
Oh, so we can get some conflicted Hangman?
God.
Your favorite story in wrestling, conflicted, anxious Millennium Cowboy.
Stupid. Disgusting.
John
but,
Silver.
Yeah.
Reynolds.
God.
Good start, though. Good start to this Trios tournament. The best is, I think the best is yet to come with the next week's United Empire Death Triangle. But let's talk about that.
I might have a semi-hot take about one of the matches. Yeah. You tell me if this is a hot take, this quality hot take. So the Trios match, Wardlow and FTR versus Satnam Singh, Sanjay Dutt, and Jay Lethal, right?
Yes, correct.
Sanjay Dutt is starting to overdo it a bit, in my opinion. A little too 1980s pro wrestler. He's starting to annoy me in all the wrong ways.
Yeah, that whole crew is really on the edge.
Dutt started great. I love the idea of, I thought the turn was well done when he joined Lethal at the first ROH pay-per-view. And I think, the pencil behind the ear and, and all that. But now he's like, he has evolved into a caricature of a pro wrestling manager with all of the screaming. And it's hard for me to put into words.
A lot of faces, a lot of screaming.
Yeah, just weird faces. Screaming, dude, just be a manager. You were hateable already.
Yeah, a lot of like baby's first like territory manager type thing.
Yes. He's really gone down a path I don't like over the last few weeks.
Very Jimmy Hart. Very Jimmy Hart. Needs to be less Jimmy Hart. More.
He wishes he was Jimmy Hart. But yeah. And I'll tell you another thing.
That's Jimmy Hart. I should. WCW Jimmy. How about WCW Jimmy Hart?
More like, a better comp would be what you said before. I think it'd be like a territory in its dying days.
If you're gonna rag on number one Paul Jones, I just take that elsewhere, pal.
No, I mean Paul Jones, he'd have to be like comatose and not add anything.
I was gonna say, I different bad vibe. Even though I like number one Paul Jones, but
he more reminds me of like a manager from a public access wrestling show who's on camera because he's the promoter's brother-in-law, and he's just completely overdoing it. And that's how he's coming across to me. I'm going to say something else, too, with Sanjay Dutt. And I like Sanjay Dutt.
Jeez, do. Good Lord. Leave the guy alone.
I loved him as a wrestler, and I liked how all of this started. It's too over the top for me. I'm going to say something else, too. If he wrestles on the pay-per-view in the street clothes with the pencil behind the ear, that's going to... because he wrestled like that on Rampage. It's going to annoy me. Put on some wrestling tights, and we don't need... Okay. Here's what I'm going to say, and we'll move on, because we have a lot to do, and Sanjay Dutt wasn't on the run sheet, okay? Here's what I'll say, and we'll move on. We don't need two smart Mark Sterlings, Rich. We don't need two
You're not wrong.
smart Mark Sterlings.
That's a great comp. That's a great comp for a guy who's... And it works for what... Yeah, one works, I'd say. I haven't hated smart Mark all the time. Like, there's times where he kind of annoys me, but we don't... Yeah, you're right. There's room in a wrestling company for one of them. There's definitely not room for two of them.
And Smart Mark Sterling's tremendous. I'm not even putting him down. I think he's great. Him and Tony Nese are such a great prelim act.
It's so good.
Because they're just goofs. They get
total goofballs. Did you see people working themselves into a shoot about Tony Nese's tweet?
I
They're
checked
like,
Twitter
oh,
today.
he's upset now too. It's like,
oh come
because
on.
did you see his tweet? Oh, he tweeted. It was great. It was. Let me get the exact. I don't want to. The premier athlete. I don't want to misconstrue his. Oh man, what's his Twitter account? Isn't it just Tony Nese at Tony Nese? Yeah, there we go. All right. He said, okay, quote, you all would have been very disappointed, maybe even outraged, if you found out who was supposed to debut against me on Dynamite last night. And now, because of Mox, that opportunity might never come again.
That's a great tweet.
It's so great. The people are like, I got now Tony Nese is upset. It's like, and then I think Smart Mark realized that, okay, let's nip this in the bud here, because then he quote tweets, unbelievable, and they cheered. It's just like, you dorks. But people were getting legitimately like, oh yeah, they did Tony Nese dirty. He's a dork.
Just burn Twitter to the ground. Just burn.
That's the quote I used. The quote I used at the beginning of the show in my little sound clip is just like, lose yourself in the moment for a minute, guys. Like, you don't. Not everything in wrestling needs to be deeply thought out. And how does this relate to? Sometimes guys are just chicken shit heels. Sometimes guys are just dorks. That's their character.
These are
it's
just
okay.
prelim heels doing prelim things.
Right.
And they're very entertaining in the
Tony
role.
Nese saying, "Hey, look, you were going to get a great match, but then Moxley, just ruined it."
That's a great tweet.
It's so great, yeah.
He's out there counting his abs, and Moxley just beats the shit out of him. It was awesome television. I love that little segment, and the follow-up tweet is fantastic.
Yeah, but you had a lot of the stopwatch people being like, Tony Nese got screwed too. It's like, oh my god.
Are you kidding me? Is that a real thing?
Yeah. I'm afraid to tell you it was a real thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we've lost the plot.
What do people think a pro wrestling show is? Like, what do they think it is?
I don't know anymore, man. I don't know. I don't know. And to be fair, again, this is a classic example. Probably 75% of the people got it, and then a few people didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this could be. Yeah, you might be mad about a tweet from a guy with 5 followers.
Exactly. I get it. Exactly.
Right. So. That's the perils of Twitter. It's like you think everything is important, but none of it's important, and it's like you get wrapped up in. So that could be what's happening here with this. I didn't even see any of this. I think those are fun tweets by Nese and Sterling, so I'm with you. I don't see how anyone could read that as them being like, pew pew. Like, the fuck are we doing?
I ask myself that every week. Oh, man. All right. So there's that. So that's what we got all out. We'll see what happens. Kenny Omega returned as a member of the Elite, as most people predicted. Then on BT, they basically told you it was going to be Kenny Omega, as they said. I don't know if you saw the clip, but I think it was Matt that was like, well, are you ready? And then he's like, okay, well, if you're ready. And then they played like a second of Kenny Omega's song. And then people were like, yeah, I think it's Kenny. It's Kenny, guys. Like, how can they tell you other than saying it's going to be Kenny Omega on the video? Like, they told you it was Kenny. And it was Kenny. So the predictable, sometimes predictable is the way to go in wrestling. And they did that here. Kenny comes back. And then we had more people that don't understand wrestling, as Kenny Omega is taped from head to toe. He looks like a fucking mummy of KT tape. And he can't lift his arm. And he's wearing a flak jacket. And his shoulder's taped up. And he's struggling. And he tried to do a move. And then he holds his knee and goes, my knee. Yeah. Then he tries to do a move and he holds his shoulder. My shoulder. And then he tries to do something in his midsection. Oh, my midsection hurts. And then Dragon Lee does a tope and takes him over the top. It's just like every big spot was exactly fine. And then Kenny apologized on Twitter after and said, I'm not all the way there, but I promise every single round I'll get a little bit better and I'll be ready to go. So, Joe, I think he's going to be okay.
So it's a cool little story where it's like, he came back before he was ready to help his boys.
Right. Because they call, if you watch BT, like, he's like, well, are you sure? Like, if you're not ready, don't come. If you think you're ready, I mean, yeah, obviously we'll take you, but if you're not ready, you don't have to. And Kenny's saying, no, I'm ready as I'll be. So yeah, I like it. He's little by little going to strip the layers of KT tape that he's wearing and probably be just okay. So
the shoulder harness, the compression shirt, like all of these things. And,
it worked. It worked. The nurse, I'll say, she went, whoa, he looks like shit. She was very much the old work is the new work for the nurse. She couldn't.
That's awesome.
She was like, whoa, he used to look really good. He looks like awful now. I was like,
yeah, that's cool if people are falling for it. I mean,
like, he looks fat. She thought he was fat. I was like, I don't know. We can't see his abs. I don't know what to tell you. So.
Yeah.
She also thought he looked old, and I had to, he's 38 years old. He's,
Well, the nurse is all over him. Jeez.
I know she wouldn't let Kenny go. Jeez.
Fuck. I think what this also does is it gives them a very easy out if they want that team to lose in the tournament, right? Kenny's not ready. He's, so there's a way now that you can knock them out of the tournament without shitting on the return of Kenny Omega. Because it'd be weird if Kenny Omega came back at full strength and then they lose in the second round, right? That's like that. So if the plan is for someone else to win the tournament, well, now they have an option to tell
or
the
he's
story.
Just having fun with it. Even if they're winning it, I think the idea of him little by little, he's a fucking dork for wrestling, and he's a dork for Japanese wrestling. If you watch an American wrestling, guy comes back from injury, and usually they're A-okay, ready to go. I'm all set. Hey, I'm 100%, and I'm ready to take back my championship or take back this or whatever. Japanese wrestling, very, very often when you come back, you got to work yourself back into shape, and very often you're going to lose that first match. You might lose the first few matches as you work yourself back into shape. That's all that's happening here. That's all that's happening. Yeah. So just again, it's wrestling, man. Sometimes you just got to let it play out. Sometimes I hate to use that phrase, and people have lost. That phrase was a meme because WWE. We would say that for WWE stuff because they never actually finished stories or told good stories.
Right.
So we would say let it play out in the sense that haha. But people have now co-opted that and just use that. And if you use that for anything, oh yeah, let it play out. No, it's some companies deserve the right to play it out. WWE didn't, and that's where the meme came from. But
I think people have lost their minds with the end of Dynamite too. And I know I did this behind the paywall as well and did a rant on this, but. What did you think of them turning on Dragon Lee? Andrade and Rush turn on Dragon Lee as the show is going off the air, as there's all this confusion. The announcers are screaming, "Oh my God, what's going on in the ring?" The Young Bucks are pointing at the ring. And I did see on Twitter last night a lot of people who I really think should know better really lost their minds on this one and thought that maybe the luchadors were going into business for themselves or
what?
I swear I saw that tape, and or that
unmasking their brother,
or that it was just bad. The show was timed out poorly again, and ran late, and they didn't have time to get the angle in.
Hold on, you got to circle back to the going into business for themselves.
Well, the idea being that Rush, you can never know what that guy's going to do.
He's attacking his brother and unmasking him.
I mean, it's Rush, and he's crazy, so that's what people look. It's not my take, Rich.
Defend this take, Joe.
I'm telling you, it's stupid.
So you're telling me Rush is shooting on his brother? Is what I'm hearing here.
Not shooting, but shooting his own angle.
Okay. Okay. Weirdly, I can buy that. I can buy that.
Yeah. No. All right, you misunderstood. I didn't see anyone saying they were shooting on Dragon Lee. What I saw people saying was, "Holy shit, is Rush at it again?" Doing his own angle at the end of Dynamite because of the abrupt way that it ended.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I guess is plausible.
It's not impossible. I would say you're dumb, but it is Rush, so it's not implausible. I just don't
think that's what happened here. I think these guys, Rush does that when he knows he can get away with shit like that. These guys want permanent jobs with AEW. They're not going to pull their usual... they will eventually want to talk Tony into bringing in, Bestia Del Ring. Okay, they're not going to be going into business for themselves.
I'm being told that this was Cubs fan that made that theory, and if that's the case, he's probably right.
I didn't see Cubs, but I saw.
If Cubs did say that, he's probably right. Then I would side with that because that man has seen some shit. That man knows all the ins and outs of luchadors going into business for themselves. So if Cubs is saying it, now I believe it.
And Rush is nuts. We know that, but
right.
I personally don't think that's what happened. The other thing I was seeing a lot was, Booker of the Year doesn't know how to time his shows again, so they had to rush the angle. I don't believe that was the case either. I just think it was a fucking cliffhanger.
Yeah, sometimes things happen at the end, and they're trying to make you say, "Whoa, what happened there?" And then you watch next week. Dude,
they want you to watch fucking Rampage in 2 days, or they want you to watch. They want you to turn on Dynamite to see what fucking happened. Okay. So just to explain, I never watch live. I cook a nice dinner. I spend Wednesday night with my wife. We put the kids to bed. We eat. I put her to sleep. Maybe give her a little Lands action if things.
I was going to say the wife or the daughter, but then it was the wife. Yes.
Yeah, and then I come downstairs. I grab my notebook.
Yeah.
I watch Dynamite with the fucking remote in my hand. I take my notes. Okay, so. I didn't see any of this hubbub until after I watch. Then I go on Twitter and scroll through some takes.
Mm-hmm.
I check Twitter twice a day, once in the afternoon, once in the middle of the night. And then I'm seeing these takes, and I'm like, to me, watching it play out, I was just like, oh, they did a cliffhanger. And then here's what's funny. Like 3 minutes after the show ends, there's a Tony Khan tweet, perfectly constructed, by the way, with hashtags and ats. And we all see how Tony tweets when he's agitated. Okay? So there's a Tony Khan tweet like 3 minutes after the show, perfectly constructed. Wow, did everyone see that crazy end to Dynamite? Tune into Rampage, where we'll have special unseen footage of the carnage that took place after the main event.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like,
at that point, everybody delete. Everybody go back and delete your dumb takes then, because
that's a fucking scheduled tweet. It's a scheduled tweet for fucking 10:03. What are we doing here?
Well,
it's
the
a
other
cliffhanger.
I did see a lot of stuff too of people saying like, "Oh, the cameras missed it," or the cameras were like shaking and they weren't right. Dude, we give credit, and I do too. I talked about it on my Beach Bash series at Flagship Patreon. Like, we give tons of credit to WCW for how they shot and did all the NWO stuff. They made it seem like chaos was happening. The cameras would shake, announcers would drop their headsets, like papers would ruffle all over the place. You know, guys would bump into each other. It was supposed to look like, oh my god, we don't know what's going on, or what the hell's happening here. Oh my god, you know what? And people praise that stuff, and rightfully so, because it was good. But now, like, it wasn't a perfectly framed shot of Dragon Lee's getting unmasked or whatever. What the hell's going on with this company? They don't know what they're doing. They've lost track. The truck doesn't know what they're doing. The booker doesn't know what he's doing. The wrestlers don't know what they're doing. This is chaos. Well, maybe it's supposed to be chaotic. Maybe that's kind of the goal is chaos.
I gotta find this fucking TK tweet now to read it to you directly.
It sounds very scheduled, yes.
A perfectly constructed.
Also, Dragon Lee shook their hand afterwards. He shook the hands of the Elite.
Yeah, there was a lot of.
So it's not like it was out of nowhere. Yeah,
there was a lot of Dragon Lee working Technico and his partners working Rudo in the match.
Right.
Which, that's a Jim Ross problem if the commentators didn't get that over.
Yeah,
I mean, he was awful last night.
Well, he's awful every night. But.
Here's the tweet. Okay, hold on. Thank you all who watched AEW Dynamite tonight. Hashtag AEW Dynamite. After the bell in our classic main event, the @AEW World Trios Tournament opener, with the return of @Kenny Omega Man X, post-match action unexpectedly got out of hand! ! We'll have highlights of that aftermath this Friday on hashtag AEW Rampage! ! Okay? It's a fucking cliffhanger. Rich, when you watch old territory stuff, how many times have you seen, I'll give you a good example, two big stars get in the ring with 4 minutes left in the show, right? Yeah. And as soon as they lock them up, Gordon Soley starts screaming, "Fans, we're out of time!
Yeah, I can't believe it, we're out of time!"
We'll have to let you know what happened. It's a fucking
every episode of
cliffhanger.
Memphis, by the way, every single episode of Memphis that I've ever watched ends that way, with Rance Russell going, "I can't believe it, we're out of time!" Right. Every episode of
people
Memphis.
Fighting all over. If it's Memphis,
right.
It's people fighting all over the place.
Yeah. This is chaotic. Oh, we'll see
Jerry
you next
Lawler.
week.
Lawler, just throw a fireball. We're out of time.
Right. That's good. It's a good Lance Russell. Nice job, yeah.
I do a decent Lance Russell. So, so whether it's the, whatever, but what do we call?
Yeah, Jordan. Thank you, Jordan, in the chat room. Tape machines are rolling. That's the literal phrase. What's
the literal phrase
for that? Yeah.
And that's Tony saying, we'll have highlights of the aftermath this Friday. Tony Khan is saying the tape machines are rolling. So, and now what's Tony Khan's nickname, Rich? Don't disappoint me here.
Mid-South Tony.
Thank you. It's a fucking cliffhanger. This guy grew up. He idolizes Bill Watts wrestling. The fuck are we doing here? But people are so anxious to claim that this guy doesn't know what he's doing, or the show sucks, or it's the Brandy Rhodes promo, Rich.
Yep.
This is another example of people are now looking for the Brandy Rhodes promo on these episodes of Dynamite. I watched this and I just thought it was, okay, a cliffhanger. Looks like Dragon Lee is getting kicked out of the group. That's all I thought. Twitter would have told you another tale. And people who should have known better. I'm finger wagging it. Can you feel me finger wagging?
I can feel it. Yeah, I can feel it through the microphone. Wow.
People who I'm doing the finger wag point. People who should have known better, Rich, are sitting here saying that the ending of this show was baffling.
I refuse to wait next week to see if there's any conclusion to this story. I am confused.
Or 2 days from now.
Yeah, or literally on hashtag Rampage on Friday.
So it's like
at hashtag. What was the at? I hope you can check out at.
Hold on, I'll read it. We'll have highlights of that aftermath this Friday on hashtag AEW Rampage.
Right, so you just have to wait till Friday. Hashtag AEW Rampage ! For the
which by the way, if you want to take shots at Tony Khan in his booking, what you should be saying is, "Oh my God, they're actually going to follow up immediately. We don't have to wait 3 weeks for
to wait 9 months. Yeah, they have the conclusion."
There's your angle. If you want to bury TK, that's the angle. I'm giving you a little tip. Okay, that's where you would attack him here, not the fact that they did a cliffhanger. And I hate to do this, but Rich, this is another example. 20 years of a company with the same fucking TV pattern every week. They didn't do things like this. So it breaks people's brains if you do a fucking cliffhanger on a pro wrestling show now. And it's a little sad, honestly, that, people have just been so conditioned. It has to be wrong because we don't see this. We haven't seen this for 20 years. Right? So, because WWE, at least in the Vince era, we'll see with Triple H, would never end a show with that kind of chaos.
Very few cliffhangers, very little chaos. Yeah, it usually has an ending. Not always a satisfying ending, that's not the right word, but usually it's like, heel walking back up the ramp, smiling, and it's, oh man, they've done it again, that sort of stuff. Not the tape machines are rolling, chaos is happening, we'll see you next week, oh my God, that type of stuff. Very rarely.
I honestly think it's better that it wasn't slick and well produced.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's like like going back and watching a lot of the NWO stuff for that Beach Bash series and other series that I've done. I love that shit because the NWO would come and then Tony Schiavone would throw his headset down, and instead of muting the mic, you would hear the headset land, and papers would go all over the place, and the desk would be askew, and it would take a second for the guys to put their headphones back on, or the cameramen would drop their camera for a second, then pick it back up. Like, that stuff's good. It was supposed to say that stuff is happening and it's chaotic. It's not a television production. It's a simulated sport. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be a simulated sport happening in front of you, not necessarily a slickly produced, fictional television show.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I hate to do this. No, I really don't. I like to do it. But if it were WWE, they would have foreshadowed the turn the entire match. You know what I mean? They would have had Michael Cole screaming at you that, Rush and Andrade,
Well, Dragon Lee would have done the handshake, and then, Rush would have looked at him and, finger wagged him or whatever. Michael Cole would be like, what is he? What? Is there something going on between? Maybe this unit isn't as good as we thought they were.
Right. They would have tipped it off, and then, they would have screamed in your ear and talked you through it because they think everyone's a big dummy.
And they're right. You know what? Honestly, as we've seen, they are right. So apologize to Michael Cole. Yeah. Apologize.
You know what? Apologize to Vince McMahon, because
you got to hand it to the guy.
you just got to hand it to him, because he was correct that wrestling fans are very dumb. I think he may have been onto something there. But anyway, that was a little Dynamite, which I review every week behind the paywall on the $5 tier Thursday Dynamite reviews. So there you go.
There you go. All right. So let's get some other topics here. Before we do that, though, I do have to let you know this episode of the Flagship Podcast is sponsored by HelloFresh. And yes, with HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That is why they are America's #1 meal kit. You can skip the grocery store and spend more time soaking up the last of the summer sun. I know you were just excited to get that last of the summer sun, Joe. HelloFresh Market is a one-stop shop for all of your mealtime needs with curated selections of quick breakfasts, lunches, snacks, desserts, and more. They deliver fresh, quality produce from the farm to your door in less than a week, allowing you to enjoy the delicious flavors of the season right from home. If you're getting back to the fall season, can be pretty busy, school starting, all that sort of stuff, but weeknights can be made so much easier with foolproof step-by-step recipes ready in around 30 minutes or less. HelloFresh has quick and easy recipes, 20-minute meals, and low prep, low cleanup options to provide you an even faster route to putting food on your table in your already packed schedule. So now is the kicker. You can go to HelloFresh.com/VOW16. That's HelloFresh.com/VOW16 and use our promo code VOW16. And it's going to get you 16 free meals across 7 boxes and 3 free gifts. Again, that's HelloFresh.com/VOW16 and use that promo code VOW16 and you'll get 16 free meals across 7 boxes and 3 free gifts. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. We thank them, of course, for sponsoring this episode of the Flagship Podcast. All right, so let's talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling. You into that, or do you want to talk? You want to talk NXT UK? What do you would you rather do? Gotta do G1. Gotta do G1.
Gotta do the G1 next. Absolutely.
I know you want to get into the Primate and where the next stop is for the Primate, but
we'll talk about Primate for sure.
You're gonna have to wait for the next
Wild
stop.
Boar, little Wild Boar.
Yeah. Sam Gradwell, all the stars.
Sam Gradwell's the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you haven't heard,
is that true?
No. 10 people will get that, but they're laughing very hard right now. But I assure you that 10 people are laughing very hard at that. I tell you, well-timed ad read. I went and did an old number 2.
Number 2. Wow, that was a quick one.
Well, I've had the little irritable bowel lately, if you must know.
Thank you. I would love to know. Yeah,
little Adriana Lacerva irritable bowel syndrome over here. I had
Oh, please tell more. Yeah, I was hoping that was the end of it, but it's not. Okay, good.
No, I got these, the big trend now in food is this Nashville hot. I don't know if you noticed that. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So I was in the grocery store, and I got these Nashville hot chicken fingers in the fresh section of the store. Over by the rotisserie chicken, they'll have other hot items.
This never works out well for you. This section of the store never works out for you.
Generally, it does, but I got these Nashville hot chicken tenders because they were looking tempting, and I ate them a couple days ago. And let me tell you, Rich, I have just been shitting loose meat for like 3-4 days, and I'm not I'm not one of these guys that's like, I can't have Taco Bell because it's going to come out. No, I normally don't have this issue.
Iron stomach. Okay? You're saying you have an iron stomach.
I have a pretty good stomach. I mean, weekly Buffalo Wild Wings trips with the boy.
I was going to say, you eat a lot of horrific things, so it works out.
And listen, I'm getting the wild, let me tell you. So, I don't know. These fucking Nashville hot chicken fingers from the Kroger's, they really did a number on me. I've been uncontrollable. Like, I got to get up and go, man, because it's going to be a problem if I don't. So, anyway.
Well, feel free to just stop mid-sentence if you got to go. No pressure, obviously, to
Well, I'll fucking shit my pants if I don't. I have to.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I don't have an option here, But yeah, the ad read, perfect. I put the headset on. You're wrapping it up. You're giving out the code. So, HelloFresh, it will not give you irritable bowel.
So far I've had a lot of their meals, and I have not shit my brains out for days on end. So that's a good read. I don't know if they're gonna love that tagline, but we do. That definitely works. So let's get into the New Japan G1 Climax finals. You have wrapped up your daily audio, of course, doing every single day, every single night of the G1. You did it over at flagshippatreon.com. Rave reviews from that, doing it every single night. Every single day, almost hours after the show, it's up there, your review of every single one. It got kind of dark there for a bit. It looked like it was going to be pretty tough, but you pulled through. You did every single day of the G1, except for the semifinals and the finals, because, of course, we're going to talk about that right here. So I don't know how you want. It's always kind of weird to review the semifinals when we've both seen the finals, but do you have any quick thoughts about Okada and Tama Tonga and Will Ospreay and Naito? Because I have a lot to say about the finals. I don't have a ton to say about the semis, though.
I've got some overall thoughts on the tournament and the semis, and then we'll talk about the final.
Yeah, let's do that.
I have an incident here, though. There's something going on. I got TLB in the room, and I'm recording in the master bedroom tonight, and she's rummaging through the top drawer of the nightstand. Yeah.
If you got to go, if
But I don't think she's looking
if nature calls, in both instances, go ahead.
No, I think she's not rummaging through. It is that drawer, but now you're looking for candy, right? You got some candy hidden in there? Is that what's going on? And
like special candy, the candy that you wouldn't eat.
So you think the kids got in there? I don't think they did. They wouldn't have done that. I think you ate it all. You ate all the candy.
That's true. It was a huge Ziploc bag from the freaking blow box.
But
Rolls.
I know. But last night when I came in here to get the laptop, you had that bag out and you were crushing it. So
I'm not denying that, but I ate all of it. I put it over here.
Well, I didn't eat it. You know, I don't even eat that. I don't know what to tell you. You ate it all.
Where's the trash?
You threw it out. That's even more proof the kids didn't do it. They would have left trash everywhere. Right? Yeah, you ate it.
No faith in me.
You see that? She ate her own candy.
And I was blaming the kids.
She's blaming everyone else in the house for eating the candy.
Was this a, did she have a little bit of the wacky tobacco and then just go nuts on the candy in the house?
Yes. So
okay, sounds right. Yeah, that happens a lot in this household, so I get it. Yeah.
Yes. Last night I came in here to get the laptop. She had the bag of candy out on the bed. She had...
And just destroying it, just engulfing it.
Yeah, she had a blow pop in her mouth. She was unwrapping a Tootsie Roll. It's like, it's a crime scene in here. Of course there's none left. She just doesn't remember that she ate it all, is what happened.
That's pretty good.
But I see her over there. You're talking about the G1. I hear her rummaging. I look over. She's like throwing Ziploc bags in the air, like over her shoulder, empty Ziploc bags, like digging for this candy. I'm like, what is going on over here? Anyway, she stormed out of here because she realized that she ate it all.
Okay, I wasn't sure if these were edible gummies that maybe Joe Lanza doesn't.
No.
Yeah, I
It
didn't know if those were in the top drawer and she was rummaging through those. Because if the kids got into those, that'd be a long night.
No,
short night, I guess I should say. Probably be a pretty short night, actually.
She's not into those, and I'm not a sweets guy, so definitely.
Yeah,
wasn't
you're a
me.
weirdo. Yeah, you like regular M&Ms and shit. Yeah.
I'm not a big sweets guy, period. I don't know.
I don't understand how you cannot be. You're not alone. There are other people that are like that. I just can never fathom that. Like to me, it's unfathomable that.
I don't know.
I destroy. It's the worst. I can't have anything in this house because I just eat it.
I know you're a sweets guy.
I'm TLB. I'm sitting on that bed and just destroying a bag of Tootsie Rolls. Just disgusting amount of Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah, like
Blow Pops can hit the bricks though. That's a bum. I'll take Tootsie. Why did she go with the Tootsie Pop? I'm thinking about that. You said she had a blow pop in her mouth and then she's unwrapping a Tootsie Roll. I feel like she should go to the Tootsie Pops, right?
To be fair, I don't know the particular kind of lollipop that it was.
It probably was a Tootsie Pop then. I'm
just telling a story, and I went with a brand,
a blow pop. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, because blow pops are right. Because then you get a bad piece of gum afterwards. It's not really worth it.
So I don't even know because again, I don't eat that. I don't eat the candy, so I don't know. Yeah. And here's the thing. You know what's ironic about this? She's blaming the kids. She took it from the kids to begin with. Like
is there
yeah, that's stolen candy that she took from the kids.
What point is there to be a parent unless you could steal your kids' shit? If
yeah,
Halloween, the best thing to do is say, "Oh no, one piece per," and then it goes right up to your room, and then it's all yours.
Yeah, they got this giant bag of candy from their grandmother for going to school, like to bring to school for snack time or whatever the fuck, and she took it and hid it in the room, and she's been
yeah.
She's mad that they stole their candy back, but they didn't steal the candy. I know it wasn't them. I know it wasn't. They've been in school till that school started. They've been in school. They didn't take nothing. She ate the fucking candy. Anyway, G1, overall thoughts. Yeah, it got dark for a little while during the nightly reviews or the daily reviews. But listen, it wasn't a bad tournament. The problem with the tournament is it was samey. Like every night I felt like, Bill Murray slapping the alarm clock in Groundhog Day. I felt like Sonny and Cher was on and I'm slapping the alarm clock and here we go again. It's the same exact card I watched last night with 3 matches that I'll never think about again, 1 okay match and then 1 match that was pretty good. And it got monotonous. And it didn't peak super high with the exception of Shingo versus Will Ospreay and Kenta and Zack Sabre Jr., which was like night 2 or something. The tournament just didn't peak super high. So it's not like the tournament was bad, though. It was just, repetitive. But I have to say, the semifinals I thought kicked ass. I loved both of those matches. I went 3.5 on both.
I want my credit for picking Tama Tonga, by the way.
I'm not going to deny you your credit because I know that you picked Tama Tonga. But I'm pretty sure all 3 of us took Tama Tonga.
No way.
Roll the tape machine.
Roll the tape machine. Tape machines were rolling. No way.
Okay. All right.
I don't think so. I don't remember.
Well, you're as bad as her with the bag of candy that she doesn't remember.
I don't remember. I think I was the lone Tama Tonga pick. I got
Rich, all credit to you. You undoubtedly picked Tama Tonga. No one is denying it.
I don't.
Okay?
Someone's gonna have to listen. Roll the tape. We'll stop. What I'm gonna do is stop this show. I'm gonna scroll through the others. No, I'm kidding. We're not gonna do that.
Look, it's very easy to find.
It was at the end of the show. Is when we did call. Suit Williams set us up
Suit
for it.
Williams call.
Yep.
Very end of the call. Where's Suit? Here he is.
Oh, he says I picked Sonata first, then switched it. Well, that doesn't count. To Great Okan, that doesn't count at all. He's out.
So he didn't pick Tama, but
you didn't either.
I'm pretty sure I did.
No.
I said I thought that they set that it looked like they're setting up Tama Tonga, upsetting and spoiling Jay White on the final night and moving on. That's what I thought. I don't know. Maybe I didn't. I know that you did though, Rich.
I don't care.
So all the flowers to you. Rich is taking his little victory lap here, but no,
I had such little confidence in it too. If you listen back, I'm just like, Tama Tonga. Hey, why not? That'd be cool. I just basically said it would be cool. I wasn't like, who's definitely winning this thing, Tama Tonga. So, but I'm still gonna take it because you know what? Fuck it. But yeah, that match was cool. Tama Tonga I'm on record as saying that he has totally transformed. That's a guy like Juice Robinson that I just wanted so far away. I didn't want that guy anywhere near anything. I didn't want to watch him ever again. If he never once spent another second in New Japan, I wouldn't miss him. That's right, he fucking rocks as a babyface. It's so good, and his work has really stepped up to it. And that was one thing that really got me. Like, there was some of those Bullet Club years where he was just brutal. You know what I mean? Just boring and just he knows he's in big spots. They're putting him in big spots, and he's delivering in those big spots. And that's really all you can ask for a guy.
Now, I thought the one thing is he's starting to connect with the audiences as far as we can tell with the claps. That's number one. Oh,
they were popping when there was a few stun gun things that they were popping big for. So, as much as you can do, with claps. But these two nights there were definitely in the finals. There were certainly times where some fans were just like, "Fuck it, we're gonna make noise," and you heard it.
Yeah, and they popped big when he beat Jay White by clap crowd standards because I think they're behind the Tama thing, and also Jay White is such a hateable heel. When he eliminated Jay White on the final round robin night. And the match with Okada, the two semifinal matches, I'll say this about the semifinal because I love them both. As I said, I can't even pick a favorite. I went 4.5 on both. I thought Naito Ospreay for first time singles match was awesome.
I think they have a better match in them for sure. Do you agree?
Oh, come on. Naito and Ospreay undoubtedly can top 4.5. I mean, they could have a 5-star match. So yeah, I agree. But I think both of those semifinal matches were just worked at a completely different pace and level as the rest of the tournament. And it was obvious watching them that all four guys were like, these are the semifinals of the G1 in Budokan Hall, and we have to work harder. And I'm not even saying anybody dogged it during the tournament. Nobody dogged it during well, not every night. People, people
some people took some people.
Some nights it was a little, I mean, in the G1 matches, I don't know necessarily if anyone. My point here is I'm not saying that people were sleepwalking through the tournament. It's just that they even took it to that next gear in the semis. And for Tama Tonga, it was the biggest match of his life. It's understandable. For Will Ospreay, okay, here's a guy who's going to a G1 final for the first time, and and he's probably going to win one someday, and he always works as hard as possible, so it's understandable. For guys like Naito and Okada, banged up bodies, been there, done that, I don't want to throw them roses for doing their job necessarily, but they kind of have the clout to not go in there and kill themselves in a G1 semifinal, and they did. Right. So all four guys, I thought, absolutely phenomenal performances. They worked so hard. It was a completely different feel and pace from the other tournament matches, and I really love both matches. So that's a quick semifinal review there, and then we ended up with Okada and Ospreay in the finals. So I just did a lot of talking, so you can go first. The floor is yours. What did you think of Okada and Ospreay in the G1 final? Yeah,
I thought it was just phenomenal, and it's the point that you brought up about these guys busting their ass, particularly guys like Okada and Naito, and it reigns true even more in these finals for me. Is that Okada is such an established guy at this point. This is now he wins the G1. He defeats Will Ospreay. It's his 4th G1 victory, his 2nd consecutive. He won in 2012, 2014, last year, the weird Kota Ibushi match, and then obviously this year. And he's put himself in this like insane pantheon. Like he's his 4 G1s. He's only behind Shono, who has 5. Inoki, if you want to count the IWGP League and the MSG League, which I don't, that's not really the same thing. Like in true G1s, Shono has 5, Okada has 4. He's right behind him now. He's in that upper echelon. He's in that a tier. He's almost in a tier to his own. I mean, he's one of the most accomplished wrestlers in New Japan history at this point, and he probably, when it's all said and done, will be the most accomplished wrestler in New Japan history. He's one of the top New Japan wrestlers in history, one of the top wrestlers in history. I mean, we're at that point already with Okada. And the fact that he still goes out there and has matches like this, he goes out there in these finals and says, yeah, Will, let's just fucking go out there and kill it. And they fucking do. That match is so good. He has never, something I always give credit to Okada. At the times that he has quote unquote dogged it, it has always been kind of in story. Maybe it's a little bit of truth that, hey, you know what? I'm a little sore. I'm a little tired. So let's kind of tell a story that I'm not necessarily dogging it, but I'm slowing down a little bit. I don't quite know what I'm doing. I can't really find myself, whatever. But when the time comes to have a big time match, when the time comes to deliver at a Wrestle Kingdom, in a G1 final, in a big spot, he never, ever takes a day off. He never doesn't deliver. He goes out there and does, hey, let's go 35. Let's go 40. Let's just go out there and let's absolutely kill it. And the fact that this guy at his age, and he's still obviously pretty young, but like the miles that he's had on, the wrestling age, I should say, like the miles that he's put on, the matches that he put on, the ability to still go out there and have a match like this that he had with Will, where he is there neck and neck with him every single way. Will is still, Will obviously is not the high flyer that he used to be. He's more of a, he has slowed down his game a little bit, but some of the stuff Will does is still pretty wild. Some of the stuff that he does is still pretty crazy. You still have to be a very good athlete, and you have to be a very willing athlete to do some of the stuff that Will wants you to do. But Okada's out there doing it, man. He's doing Spanish flies. He's doing counters. He's taking hook kicks. He's taking chops. He's taking these. He's doing everything. I mean, he's taking, the fucking dive to the outside that Ospreay does, the twisting dive thing, and Okada's got to grab it and fall with him. Like, to be able to do all that stuff, it would be so easy for Okada to say, nah, man, 20 minutes. Let's take it nice and easy. Let's I don't want to take that, or I don't want to do that. No, this guy goes out there every single time there's a big spot and just fucking kills it. I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time. He just, at that point, we're going to talk about Will here in a bit, because I think Will's 2022 is next level great. I'm going to talk a little bit about him after I let you talk about the final, but like, I just think Okada has reached this point now, especially here winning this G1, especially entering the pantheon of consecutive G1s and 4th G1 Climax victories, and just the amount of great matches, big time matches this guy had. I mean, he's just one of the best ever, and he just doesn't show any signs of slowing down, and I commend him for that, because I'll tell you, I watched all these G1 finals for a series that Flagship Patreon. Masahiro Chono wasn't out there having these types of matches when he was in his 4th and 5th G1s and on his way to win, another G1. He wasn't doing those. Like a lot of guys aren't doing these types of matches, but Okada is, and he always goes out there, and if it's a big spot and a big match, he just gives it his fucking all, man. And it's just, I respect the hell out of that, because he doesn't need to. At this point, he can coast if he wants to. He could say, you know what? Nah, we're not doing crazy shit. Whatever. I'm winning, but let's do this. Let's do that. But he doesn't. He goes out there and he busts his ass, and he has a match that is right there neck and neck with every one of Will Ospreay's great matches this year, and maybe the best of the year, because I love this match. I went 5 stars. I thought it was tremendous. I think Okada and Will have just insane chemistry. I think I probably like, even though I went 5 on both, I think I like the Wrestle Kingdom match a little bit better than this one. But you're choosing between just 2, to me, near perfect matches, or actually 2 perfect matches, because these matches are just fucking phenomenal. But this final was just great. I just, the counters, the finishes, the callbacks, the kickouts, just the work, the pace of the work too. It was just, from the opening bell to the end, something was happening almost every second of this match, and not in a way that felt like a spot fest. Like, everything had meaning, everything was purposeful. It's just, these guys are just 2 of the best to ever do it. That's where we're at this point, and they delivered yet again.
5 stars.
Yeah,
you went 5. I went 4 3/4 because I hated this fucking match so much. You don't know
so
how.
Why did you hate it so much?
I cowardly went with the with the 4 3/4, but no, this was I think both the semis and the final, but especially this final, what I believe that this showed us was that for all of the beatings that we've given New Japan during the pandemic era, when New Japan is on its game, it's still the best wrestling in the world. Their top matches are better than everybody else's top matches. You know, we are in a world where people are losing their minds for 3.5-star Raw matches. And then I'm watching a match like Okada versus Ospreay in this final, and I'm like, geez, this is just, you know, it took 19 nights to get there. Okay, it took until the semifinals to get there, but we were all reminded how great the G1 can be and how great New Japan can be when it's hitting at that top level. And after the semis, because Will Ospreay and Naito main evented, so Ospreay got the mic for night 19 to close the show, and you know, he had mentioned, he gave a really passionate promo that you knew came from deep in his soul. There was a bit of reality to this one, where he was talking about he's done everything but win a G1, and he wants this so bad. And he talked about all of the people who had beaten Okada before, whether it was AJ Styles or whether it was Kenny Omega,
right. and invoked all those finishers too in that match. So.
Yes, and Hiroshi Tanahashi, and then the next night, he tried to use all of the ways that those people were able to beat Okada to put him away, and none of it worked. You know, he used the high fly flow. He did the Styles Clash. He hit a V trigger. You know, he even did a phenomenal forearm at one point. And it wasn't in some cheesy derivative way. It was well done. All of the moves fit the story of the match. When Okada went into his closing sequence the first time, it really felt like the end of the match, but it wasn't. You know, and then when Ospreay tried his, went into his, you know, they kind of roped you in with the typical New Japan. This is the closing stretch. You're conditioned to think that this is going to be the end. And they did that twice. They did it once with each guy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe they did the Rainmaker like halfway through the match. Yeah, and then you're thinking, oh, here we go. And then they like went back. That was like, and then Okada was like, all right, cool. I got to do a lot more. And it was kind of cool that wasn't the beginning of the end. It was like, no, it was just a part of the match where you felt like it was going to be done, but then, you know, both guys were able to kind of recover from it and get to do, and that's really cool. It's a cool match structure.
That's the key. It wasn't, that's the key that you said right there. It wasn't one of those Rainmakers that comes super early and you sense the kick out coming. It felt like it was a good place for the match to end.
Right. It was like 25 minutes in and you're like, oh, well, yeah, hey, you know, Will had a good run, but no, Okada's just better. But no, yeah, it didn't.
Yeah, and the match went 33 minutes, but I personally thought it breezed by. I don't know about you.
Flew by. When they made the 30-minute call, I couldn't believe I had been watching it for 30 minutes.
Yeah, and, you know, so it was thick with, you know, storytelling and psychology and Will, you know, trying to learn from how other people beat Okada. Because remember this, too. Will Ospreay has that one win over Okada in the G1 in 2020, but that doesn't really count because that's when the Great Okan returned to Japan and interfered, and it was like a heel finish. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it's still hanging over Will that he's never really beaten Okada. You know, the Okan finish was, everyone knows that's bullshit, right? And here's the other thing that's interesting, too, about this match and the story that they told. And New Japan does this a lot. We saw it happen with Chaos. We saw it happen with Suzuki Gun. We saw it happen with LIJ. United Empire are baby faces now. I don't know if people realize it. Like, it just happens under your nose. And it's slow and it's deliberate. And then you turn around and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Will Ospreay's not a heel anymore. Great Okan's not really a heel anymore. Like, maybe in certain spots against certain opponents, they'll heel it up a little. But it's this same pattern that we've seen sort of when Chaos went under that transition. Then remember, Rich, when LIJ first was introduced, all they did was fucking cheat. And then they slowly worked that out of there.
Yeah.
and then even Suzuki Gun a couple years ago, like they were essentially faces, right? And that's kind of like what United Empire is in that spot now, where they're like the heel leaning tweeners, but really they're more face leaning tweeners even at this point, the United Empire unit. So, and so there was that whole thing too, where this was one of those losses that was really a win. I thought Will Ospreay gained from this loss. I really think, even though he's been IWGP World Champion, and even though he's done everything there is to do but win the G1, and this is obviously going to be his story moving forward, his quest to win a G1, because even his entrance video, it was like a highlight reel of him doing everything.
Yeah.
Winning
all
Best
the
of
all the
Super
accomplishments he had
Juniors
in New Japan, yeah.
And this is the last one. So even though he's won the top title, it was during that weird time where no one really, it was like, no fans, clap fans. It was just, and it's like, so his new ultimate goal is now to win the G1. And I loved the camera work and the production in the post-match to show his disappointment and really let that sink in. Again, if you want to attack AEW and Tony Khan, attack them in this way. Nothing sinks in AEW.
I agree. Yeah,
it is
one of our biggest
thing.
complaints. Yeah, something big happens and it's to the back. The old to the back meme. But definitely the case with AEW. They go to the back a lot.
And they just focused on Ospreay and his disappointment, and he just looked.
There was a great shot of
exasperated.
Okan, or I think it was it was Okan, I believe. He looked like it looked like an old gambler. He had like gold chain and the watch hanging down, and his head's just down, dejected. And they stayed on that shot for a long time, where he's just like, oh man. And yeah, Will just looked,
completely dejected,
dejected, just
exasperated.
Exasperated. Yeah, just kind of like, no, what? I had it. What the fuck happened? How did I lose this? Like, what happened? And it was the One Wing Angel, which is a cool little, Again, I know people, dorks. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. If you don't think that they're maybe doing something for Omega and Ospreay, and maybe both these guys throwing pot shots at each other, I don't know. It's kind of weird that he was able to do all the other moves of all the other guys, and they tried the One Wing Angel, and damn it, Okada was able to counter out of it, and he wasn't able to do it. So I don't know. It seems like that's a weird finish for him not to be able to hit with all the pot shots both guys are throwing at each other. But
Yeah, because what has, nobody kicks out of the One Winged Angel. So, and obviously they've been building a match between Ospreay, like you mentioned. So, and he didn't hit it. For people who haven't watched the match, he didn't hit the One Winged Angel.
Right,
and
he hit the V-trigger, he hit the High Fly Flow, he hit the Styles Clash, but he did not hit the One Winged Angel.
And let me tell you, if you don't think Kenny Omega would be a big deal coming back to this company, go listen to this
Jesus
crowd
Christ.
that is not supposed to make mouth noises, and how they reacted to Will Ospreay setting up the One Wing Angel. So, no, phenomenal work, phenomenal story. Ospreay gave him literally everything he could have gave him. He even, he hit him with all, the hidden blade and all of his moves as well. He hit him with everybody else's. He studied the people who beat him. It wasn't good enough. And we had a wrist clutch. We brought the wrist clutch spot back during this match. Phenomenal. I mean, I debated going 5, but my rule. Once my mind debates it, it's 4 3/4.
Yeah. It's 9.74 right now on a cage match, which is
just
pretty
this
elite.
Was and it'll fall a little because it's less than 24 hours old.
Yeah,
and all that.
Sure.
But this was without question a classic all-time Pantheon G1 final and a surefire threat to winning match of the year. There's no question about it. So better than the Ospreay Shingo match from night fucking 13 or whatever it was. Better than the 2 phenomenal semifinal matches. I thought it was better than Danielson Garcia, which we didn't talk about, but I thought Danielson Garcia was a 4.5-star match. I mean that.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. They just beat the shit out of each other.
So I'm just comparing it to recent matches. I'm not trying to dog on any of these matches.
Right. We had a good week. We've had a good week for matches. Let me tell you, it's been a very good week for wrestling.
Yeah. And obviously better than any of the 3.5-star matches that, that people are screaming about on Monday Night Raw. Did you see, very quickly, because I don't want to derail, but did you see Nakamura versus Walter?
I did not.
Very good match. It was, I went 3 3/4. So definitely borderline notebook material. The problem was the rest of SmackDown was so fucking boring. I mean, SmackDown was an awful show until that main event. and I haven't gotten through Raw yet. Everyone is saying that this Raw is the best Triple H show yet. I started it, but they're like 19 hours long. Haven't gotten through it, so I can't comment on the Raw. But Nakamura and I think I might have said Walter. Nakamura and Gunther. Did I say Walter? Or
I think you said Walter. That's fine.
Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Definitely worth people's time. But yeah, this blew that away. All these recent matches that were very good, or even great. This is going to go down as one of the best G1 finals of all time, in my opinion. And it might fucking win match of the year. As far as you mentioned the Wrestle Kingdom match, the first Wrestle Kingdom match that they had in 2021 was more of a go action, high spot sprint. That one was great because we all thought, or a lot of people thought, Okada was dead.
Yeah, that's when he was toast. That's when Okada had to prove that, hey, my back is not completely shot and I still can actually wrestle. And then he could. It was weird.
And then he got in there at will and had a 35-minute PWG main event.
Yes.
And it was just like, this fucking rules. Then they had the match this year for the title where Ospreay came up short against Okada. And that was a fucking phenomenal match. And honestly, I think I prefer this one. Very much a different kind of match than the first Wrestle Kingdom match. Just for reference, this year's Wrestle Kingdom match is sitting at 9.22 on the cage match, and the Wrestle Kingdom match from 2021 is sitting at 9.18. So this one is crushing. But again, this one will come down a little. It's
It's still early. Once you get another 100 votes or something in, or the next few days or whatever, it'll come down. But I don't think it's gonna come down a whole lot. I think it's probably
9.5.
Yeah,
I settled on 9.5 because it really was a great match. Can't say enough about it. And now, moving forward, it's can Will Ospreay win a G1? And that's going to be the big story moving forward. And I do think at this point, if he does, he's got to beat Okada. Because Okada just handed him 2 straight L's in Wrestle Kingdom matches, one being the main event for the title. He beat him in this G1 final. And he really beat him every time he's faced him, with the exception of the match where, Okan cheated. So, I think he's got to, he'll win one eventually, and he's got to beat Okada to do it, I think. So I think it won't mean as much if he beats somebody else with the way that they've kind of told this story. So, anything else on this particular G1 match?
Nothing on this match in particular anymore, but I do want to talk about Will Ospreay, who we talked about this a lot. This guy is on another fucking level this year. The amount of great matches that this guy has had, and I'm on Cage Match right now, and I'm glad we have another one to add to this, because I was making this argument a few days ago before we even had this match that is now topping his year. So in just 2022, Will Ospreay has 7 matches that have a 9+ rating on Cage Match right now. Okay, 7. The 8th match is at an 8.97, so it's like literally one more vote for Nick Wayne versus Will Ospreay will give him 8 matches over 9 this year alone. Just under that, number 9 is Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay. That's at 8.78. You could, earnestly, like if somebody this year sent in a Voices of Wrestling Match of the Year ballot and it only featured Will Ospreay singles matches, I wouldn't think that that's out of line. Right. I wouldn't laugh at that.
You wouldn't think that Will sent it in.
Right. Like, because sometimes we get ballots from people and it's like, all right, this person loves this company, so all 10 matches are this company. It's like, all right, I've seen some of these matches and I'm telling you, these aren't, you're going to get one. This match is going to get one vote and then one vote's you.
Yeah.
Like you voted at 6th and no one else is going to vote for this match at all, because I'm telling you, it's not that good. Like, you could earnestly vote for this, because here is the lineup here. This is the Cage Match sorted by rating just in 2022, okay? Number 1 right now is Okada versus Will.
And I'll give you pithy thoughts on them.
Yeah, okay. Okada versus Will, G1 Climax 32 final. You just saw it a day ago.
Right, we just talked about it.
Or this morning. It was this morning. Okay. Will Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr. from March. That's at 9.26 right now.
That was the New Japan Cup match.
Yep.
Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that was obviously an incredible match.
Yeah. The quarterfinal of the New Japan Cup. Just incredible stuff. Okada versus Will, Wrestle Kingdom.
Right, we just talked about that one. Yeah, for the
9.22, as you said. Number 4, Michael Oku versus Will Ospreay. We probably spent an hour on that match when it happened back in January. Just phenomenal. Like that is so clearly in my top 10 no matter what this year. That's his 4th best match according to Cage Match. Just using Cage Match rating. Obviously it's objective and wrestling subjective and yada yada all that sort of stuff. But just using this rating just kind of give you an idea where we're at. Okay.
That was the ultimate in babyface heel storytelling. Like if you enjoy that kind of wrestling, and you're behind on Will Ospreay, you might think, I'm not watching a Will Ospreay match for that. No, that you need to go watch that match if that's what you like in your wrestling. All these people screaming about storytelling all the time. Yeah, that was a phenomenal match.
Yeah, just great stuff. Even if you don't, because there's some people that said, "Well, I don't know the story." You're going to know the story.
You'll know.
You'll know the story. Watch the match and you'll get the story. Like the pre-match promo will kind of catch you up, and then the match itself will catch you up. You'll know the fucking story. Trust me.
It's very clear.
Yeah, it's not
expecting the guy's girlfriend at ringside.
Yeah, you don't need a whole lot here. It's his family. He's yelling at his family, yelling at his girlfriend. Yeah, it's just phenomenal stuff. So that's number 4.
And then basically almost murdering him.
And then killing him in the ring and showing the body to his family and his girlfriend. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I killed your boyfriend here. Here he is.
I'm going to kill him if someone doesn't stop. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's telling them throw the towel in or I'm going to murder this man. Yeah. So please.
He will be dead if you don't stop me from. Yeah.
Great stuff. Yeah. Phenomenal match. Great match. See, we can talk about it for another hour if we needed to. Another good match. Number 5, Naito versus Ospreay semifinals.
We just talked about an incredible match.
9.19 right now on Cage Match. Shingo versus Will, also from the G1. Far and away the best match of the G1 until we got to the semifinals and the finals, right?
Correct. Nothing was even. I would say Zack and Kento was close, different kind of match, but those two were separated from the pack in my opinion.
Yep. Number 7, Orange Cassidy versus Will Ospreay at 9.08 right now on Cage Match. I forget if you and I talked about that match at Forbidden Door. No, of course we talked about it at Forbidden Door. That's a blur, man. That night's a blur. I was on like an hour of sleep. I was in a random town, but that match rocked, right? That was great.
That was one of the best pay-per-views I've ever seen in my life. Right up there with One Night Stand or When Worlds Collide. Just a pay-per-view that left me buzzing to the point where I couldn't sleep. And that was the best match on that pay-per-view.
Yeah, for sure. So you got that. So that is now all the ones that are above 9. So now here's the other ones. I'm gonna get you a full, a pretty good amount here. Nick Wayne versus Will Ospreay from GCW. You implored everybody to go out of their way and watch that. That is one of the better matches I've ever seen of like a veteran, quote unquote, versus a young guy, giving the young guy a ton of ability to shine, giving the young guy a ton. I mean, he did more for Nick Wayne in that one match than Nick Wayne's previous 2 years, wrestling all over the indies and doing that sort of stuff. Phenomenal matches. From GCW's I Never Liked You, June 19, 2022. I know that you loved it. I loved it. If you haven't seen it, go out of your way to see it.
The brilliance of that match was he gave him just enough to help the kid get over without giving him too much to hurt the credibility of it's Will Ospreay versus 16.
Right. At the end of the day, he beat him. You know what I mean? Like right. he got surprised by some of this stuff. He went in saying, I'm facing a fucking 16-year-old who get the fuck out of here. Nick Wayne surprised him. I mean, Will used to be in that exact same position. Will used to be the guy that surprised people. Now he's the cocky ass who was like, it's fucking 16-year-old. Yeah, okay. And then Nick almost caught him. And then Will, when he decided to, said, all right, no, enough of this stuff. Like, you're done, man.
They could have just traded high spots and made everybody happy. But he still weaved a little story into it, which was, this kid's way beneath me. But it gave him just enough to make it feel like, wow, he is the next Will Ospreay. So, yeah, excellent match.
So if I voted for any of those 8 matches as my first 8 match of the year votes.
No, I mean, it's plausible that any one of them could get a first place vote.
Yeah, and very well might. Then we had Moxley versus Will. I was there live for that. That was at Windy City Riot. That match fucking ruled.
Oh, God.
How good was that match?
The chemistry that they have with each other. They almost murdered one another. Like, they wrestled, and this is what we said at the time. They wrestled so hard in that match. Like, they just... Man, I'm like, they are trying to put each other in the emergency room with the ferocity. And look, they're both fucking maniacs. We know that. Yeah, that match was awesome. Just an awesome match.
So those are 9 matches that earnestly I could see in my top. I have them listed in my big list. I do my list at the end of the year. I rewatch all this stuff. Those are all matches that are in my potential top 10. Every single one of those has the chance to be in my top 10.
Oh, you're not done. Go
I'm
ahead.
not. Look, I was going to say because there's a couple other ones too. These are
let me
ones.
throw a couple at you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you see the Brian Cage match from Warrior Wrestling?
Yes. Yeah, that one was from January 22nd. That one has an 8.13 right now on Cage Match. That's his 16th best singles match per the Cage Match rating. Great stuff. He had the match with Blake Christian. Did you watch that one in Warrior Wrestling from April?
I didn't see either of the Warrior Wrestling matches.
Okay. Both of those are good. Go out of your way. I will say the Brian Cage one, a lot of people liked it a little bit more than I did. I don't know that I would vote that one. The Blake Christian match is phenomenal, though. That one is really, really good. That's a little bit more of old school Will, just going out there and doing shit, but that's fine, too. That works.
I'll give you a great one that I saw that I don't think you saw. The Titus Alexander match from West Coast Pro.
No, I did see that one. And that, again, that's just what I'm saying. This guy, that is great. If you voted that your number 10 match of the year, no problem with me whatsoever. If you voted that your number 5 match of the year, no problem whatsoever. That match is great. The match with Dax Harwood, singles match on Dynamite against Dax Harwood. How good was that?
Yeah, a lot of people have that as their match of the year.
Yes.
The Harwood match. And I have it as like his 13th best singles
This is what I'm saying. This guy is on another level. This year, the year that he's having is insane. And Joe, this weekend, and we're going to preview it here in a sec, this weekend he's going to face Ricky Knight Jr. and Speedball Mike Bailey in back-to-back nights.
Yeah, back-to-back nights.
He's going to add another one. He's going to add another 2 probably. The Speedball match is guaranteed that's going to be in the top 10. Just knowing how good Speedball is this year, how good he has been, how great Will is, I'm just going to put that in number 10. Barring a horrific injury or just like the worst chemistry ever, that's probably going to be there as well. And then the Ricky Knight one, if you're a follower of RevPro, I mean, that thing's just going to be dripping with story.
And Will is going to really want that to be great.
Yes.
The Ricky Knight, because they want it, and as far as the Speedball match goes, that's one of Will's challengers for Wrestler of the Year. So that is, obviously going to be great. So, no, I went, look.
Good. My conclusion, Will Ospreay is a good wrestler.
Well, how about the 4-way? In Washington, D.C. with Moxley and Tanahashi and Juice Robinson.
Oh, yeah. See, I like that match a lot. I don't know if I loved it.
How about the 6-man tag on Dynamite? Or was it Rampage? With
the one with the Best Friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. That was, I want to say that was Dynamite. Oh, by the way, he's going to come this week. He's going to come after he's done having those matches this weekend. So he just finished out matches with Naito and Okada, back-to-back nights. Then he's going to fly to Britain. He's going to face Speedball Mike Bailey and Ricky Knight Jr. this weekend. And then he's going to, on Wednesday, come and he's going to face Pac, Penta, and Rey Fenix.
Yeah.
With his fucking lads, Davis and Fletcher.
Yep. Yeah.
Good. It's a hell of a year. We're looking at something special right now.
Nah, look, he's been my Wrestler of the Year the last 3 years, and it's trending that way again for a 4th straight year. And here's the thing. I don't even know if this is his best year, because I look back at that 2019 when he won the Super Junior, when he worked the G1, he had 8 of his 9 G1 matches were 4.25 or higher. 8 of his 9 Super Junior matches were 4.25 or higher. And the Super Junior final against Shingo Takagi is one of the best matches of all time. He had the Kota Ibushi match at Wrestle Kingdom that year. I should probably, I'm not going to pull, we don't need to go in super detail, but 2019, I think, is the year that might even be better than this year.
Yeah, it's right there. I'm looking at just based off Cage Match, obviously, but it doesn't, but just looking at that, if we're looking at the same metrics, that has 6 matches right now, 9+ Cage Match rating, and the 7th and the 8th and the 9th and the 10th are all 8.8. They're right on the cusp too, because that has the 8-Kid match that year as well. Has a match with Jay White, Bandito, Phantasmo. So he has 10 matches that are 8.8 and above in that year. 6 that are 9 and above in 2019. That's, you're right. That this year, as good as this year has been, 2019 might be better, which is fucking insane. He
had that match in Dallas against Lance Archer, which really elevated Lance Archer. He had a match. I'm looking at the Cage match. He had a match against Phoenix that didn't make tape. Who knows how good that was?
Oh God, yeah. Who could have had? Yeah, probably phenomenal.
Yeah. So, the Bandito match, WrestleMania weekend. It just, I don't know. It's when you lay it out that way, he really is having another just historical year. And in a lot of different places with a lot of different kinds of opponents.
Yeah,
too.
I think that's what I cherish maybe the most about this year. I mean, there's guys that I think have had really good years, and like you mentioned, like Speedball Mike Bailey is a great example. He's had it, and he's taken on all comers in all places and doing that sort of stuff too. So a lot of these guys, and you know what? Honestly, this entire rest of the year race this year, everybody that's in that mix has all been doing everything they could possibly do. You know what I mean? They're not just doing it in one company or one place. Moxie's going everywhere and facing everybody. Mike Bailey's going everywhere and facing everybody. Will is going everywhere facing everybody. Takeshita, if you want to put him in the mix. I mean, he obviously had a great late run here. He has obviously gone. That dude worked every indie in the fucking. If he was within 20 feet or 200 miles of an indie, he was going to find a way to go. You know what I mean? It was like he's popping up and you're like, why is he wrestling in Minnesota for? Oh, Dynamite's there. Okay. Like he hit the ground running, man. It was just going to take every booking he could possibly take. And it was awesome. I appreciated that. That was really cool.
Those to me are the four. I don't know who else you would put in there.
I can't think of anybody that'd be anywhere in that same conversation with those guys. Okada might be a guy. I mean, we always like kind of he's like just always there, so you kind of forget about him, I think. But Okada's had a fucking tremendous year as well. He's had a really, really good year when you lay out his 2022. So I guess he would be the fifth I'd probably put in there.
Let me throw some at you. How about Kiyomiya?
Nah.
Not at this level, right?
No, not with these guys.
You know, he had to drag the corpse of Keiji Muto to a bunch of watchable matches. I mean, you give him credit for that. I mean, how good of a match did he have against Keiji? And to be fair, a lot of people other than us think the last one was was a great match.
Right, yeah.
I'm just throwing names at you. How about Seth freaking Rollins?
Seth freaking Rollins is not on my list, no.
He's once again the WWE
the
fan.
De facto, the one they have to go with, yeah.
One they choose, because they got to pick someone. And really, they don't have anyone to turn to. Because they used to be able to turn to like whoever the hot NXT guy was, but
right?
NXT,
or AJ. Sometimes you had AJ there that you could.
He's not at that level,
right.
Yeah. So, do you think they might start pitching Gunther if he keeps it up?
Maybe.
I mean, you know,
that's a good call. Yeah, they might start working on Gunther.
The problem is none of these guys have the volume that the people we're talking about have. Like, even if you think Seth freaking Rollins is having, you know, a match, a Wrestler of the Year level year, and I do not think and I watch all of it. So, they lack the volume in that company. That's always going to be an issue. How about a Josh Alexander? Can I throw you?
Josh Alexander's had a tremendous year. I would say his last year, he was a lot better in 2021, I think, than he has been so far in 2022. I'm not taking anything away. I think he's been really good, but he's not at the level of these guys, I don't think. He's been good. He's been very, very good, but not like these guys.
Nobody in All Japan. Do you like anyone in Dragon Gate for this conversation? I do not personally.
No, I don't think anybody in Dragon Gate's reached that level for me this year.
Okay.
And I haven't watched all of it. But no, I don't.
You've watched enough. You got a feel.
Yeah, I don't think I'm missing out on anybody that's clearly the best guy that I should be, you know.
I don't even know who I'd pick in Dragon Gate to be the Dragon Gate wrestler. Like, they don't have a standout guy.
Right.
Impact.
A lot of the Impact guys are guys that have bounced around, like your Mike Baileys and your Alexanders or whatever, but they're doing it.
We named the Impact guys already. Indies, Bailey and Takeshita and Moxley. I think we've got the major ones covered. I will give the chat room a second to catch up to the audio, and maybe they'll pitch us some that we're missing. But I really do think for me, it comes down to Will Ospreay, Speedball, Takeshita, and Moxley right now. I will take a closer look at Okada's year because I think you're right. I think we don't think about Okada sometimes, and then you look at his year and you're like, holy shit. I don't think Shingo's in the mix this year because he's been mixed up with that King of Pro Wrestling.
I agree. I don't think he is. Usually at this point of the year, especially after a G1, you can kind of put him in there, but a lot of his year has been, I guess, by design has really kind of put him. He's not there. He's not there this year.
Despy.
I like Despy, but no, not to these guys' levels.
Not to this level, right?
No.
I mean, even with the Moxley match, did you see the Moxley match from Nashville?
I have not yet actually seen that match.
It's you know what? I'm not positive you'll like it because it was a death match.
Okay.
they did a lot of barbed wire and tables, and I liked it, but I have a limit to how much I like those kind of matches. But I'll give you the cage match, 8.52.
Okay, all right. So, I should watch it though before the end of the year.
But again, Despy not quite at that level, right? I mean, he had a good Super Junior. I wouldn't put him at that level either. I'm just trying to come up with names. So, okay, here's one. How about Bald? How about Dax? Do you put him at that level?
Yeah, Dax is there, but again, I think all of Dax's great stuff is. He's had a great tag run. Yeah.
You know what they're doing though? They want him to get in the conversation. They are booking him specifically because they want Dax to win Wrestler of the Year. Why do you think he's wrestling Lethal this week? They're putting him in there against another great wrestler. They put him in there with Ospreay. I mean, and then when you factor in all of the tag matches, they are trying to get him votes for Wrestler of the Year. It's by design.
I think he's an interesting guy. I don't think you could earnestly not with the guys. He is nowhere near. He's had a great year. Do not get me wrong. He has had a great year. He is not Will. He's not Mox. He's not Speedball. He's not Takeda. He's nowhere near those guys. Good year.
Okay.
Good year. Not near those guys.
Let's approach it this way. We don't need to look at the tags, right? Because we know they're the best tag team in the world this year. Yeah. I think we would all, you and I are going to agree that FTR will be the runaway pick for tag team of the year. And we know all of the great tag team matches they've had, so we don't need to run down that resume. Here's his singles matches. You ready? CM Punk in March on Dynamite.
Yeah, it was tremendous.
The first round of the Owen against Hair, where they did the Bret Hart tribute.
Yeah, the Bret Owen match. Spot by spot.
That wasn't. That was actually the second round. No. That was they did qualifying and then the first round. So that was the qualifying. Then the first round, he lost to Adam Cole, which I don't remember much about that. So I don't think that was a great match. Then the Will Ospreay match. And then Rocky Romero on New Japan Strong, which from Charlotte, a New Japan USA show, which I have not seen. So I can't comment on the Harwood match, but those 4 AEW matches plus the tag stuff, do you put them in the mix?
That's a better resume than I think I initially thought. I don't know if I can fully put him in the mix, but I think it's closer than I thought. He maybe deserves a little bit more of a conversation than I thought he did.
I'll tell you what, I don't think those singles matches were very good. They're not in the same universe as Will Ospreay's singles matches.
I would agree. Yeah.
The other thing I would say is his best singles match is against Will Ospreay, and seriously, for me that's like Will Ospreay's 13th best singles match. I think that's all it needs to be said. So I can't seriously consider him, even when I factor in the tag stuff, of having a better in-ring year than Ospreay. I can't do it.
That's the right. Look at the comp there. His match with Ospreay is
his best match by far.
Yeah, and then his match with Will is
it's not one of Will's 10 best.
Right. So it's
so that settles that. I mean, even if you factor in the Briscoe matches and all the great tag matches they've had, which count. I mean, that shit counts. But he's going to win the tag award. If you want to tell me he's the 5th best wrestler this year behind the other 4,
yeah, sure.
I could see that argument. I wouldn't put him ahead of my top 4 though. And the 4 that I mentioned already, I can't put him ahead of them, but I could put him ahead of everyone else. I think maybe. So Dax is a good shout. That's really okay. Daniel Garcia, somebody pitched, and Danielson, but Danielson missed a lot of time. Danielson and Okada, I'd have to look close at their years.
Yeah, they might have better resumes than we're giving them credit for. Off the top, my initial thought is no, but they probably does have more great matches than I'm thinking about.
I think Danielson was more back end of last year.
I would agree. Yeah, he missed a lot of time this year. I mean, he could get in that conversation for sure. I mean, he can go and have a great last half of the year, but it's not unless those other guys stop wrestling. If Will just stops doing anything, But Will's gonna have 5 matches this month or this week that are gonna be tremendous. So yeah, we're not.
Yeah, the volume's the issue.
Yeah.
Danielson, Okay, so obviously the Adam Page match in January.
Well, and like I said, I value doing it in a lot of places too. I think that's really cool to just show up to X place and just go out there and tear the fucking house down. That I love that.
So you had the second Adam Page match. Remember, the first one was last year. So the second Adam Page match, obviously an incredible match. Then he went through all those matches where he was beating people. Moriarty, Daniel Garcia, Christopher Daniels, those cool little TV matches. The Revolution match against Moxley, obviously a great match. Then more TV matches. Wheeler Utah, Trent Beretta, Matt Sydal, and then the 2 Daniel Garcia matches. You know what? He's in the mix, but he is not. I'd have him behind the other 4. That's my take on Danielson.
There it is.
I think I'd put him ahead of Dax, and I might have him ahead of Speedball. But I don't think I can put him ahead of Moxley or Ospreay based on what I'm looking at.
No, just the volume, the amount of matches. Yeah, it's tough. Those are tough dudes too.
Anyway, that's
so there you go. Some other big news in New Japan before we move on to other stuff here. Wrestle Kingdom is going back to one night again. I was so fucking happy to see that. I'm so glad Wrestle Kingdom one night, January 4th, 1-4 Wrestle Kingdom. None of this 2-night bullshit. No 2 title matches. Just, it's going to make everything so much better and so much cleaner. And I am on record. Go back and roll the tape. When they first announced the 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom, I believe you were on the same way as me. I didn't like it. I thought it was too weird. It was too gimmicky. We called it WWE shit. It was a little too WrestleMania for us. I thought, oh, now it's going to get a little funky with what match is going to main event what thing or whatever. There was a time and a place that maybe you could have done that when the IC title was of equal level, but then they started doing the double title thing, and it all got clunky and weird and annoying, and I hated it, and I'm so much happier that we're just back to one single night. Hopefully it's a fully stacked show. We know what the main event's going to be, months in advance. That is the way I want Wrestle Kingdom to go, and I'm so glad to see them going back to one night only. I get it. I got it from a business sense. I totally understand it. From my standpoint, from myself as a viewer, I am very happy. Just one night only.
I think that they don't think they could sell tickets for 2 nights.
I don't think they do either. I think they looked at this Budokan and said, all right, one night Wrestle Kingdom. That's fine for us. Because these were not great numbers. I guess, do you want to get in? Should we get into that real quick?
You can read them off. They weren't great at all.
Yeah, they weren't. So let me get the official numbers here. Give me one moment.
Did they hit their 50,000 for the tour? I didn't. I lost track.
I think they did. Someone
in the chat will know.
Yeah,
someone in the chat will know.
All right, semifinals. Budokan Hall, 3,179.
Yeah, but better than the year before. But I mean, we're getting further from it should be better than
right. It should be. And then the finals, 6,716, which is
how much?
6,716 for the G1.
That's
finals.
better than I thought. That's the final.
Yeah, that's the final. Yeah. To compare that, Noah Destination did 3,215, so it's obviously more than that.
Yeah.
Noah the New Year did 3,181, so it's obviously more than that. New Japan Cup was in there earlier. They got 2,000 for the New Japan Cup. Best of the Super Juniors, 3,520. So it's like the best, one of the better numbers.
The final number crushed.
In this year, yeah. It's just, that first, I think they're a little, I don't know if they have the confidence on the 2-night stuff now.
That first, and just to give you perspective, that first Noah number got people fired.
Yeah, right. That 3,000 whatever number.
Nobody's drawing. I mean, it's bad. The final number by these standards was really good to put 6,000 in there. I didn't realize I had that many. And I do think the first 2 nights outdrew the first 2 nights last year. But again, that should have been a given because I don't think there's ticket restrictions anymore. I think they could sell.
Yeah, if you're not doing the cheering, I thought you were good to go.
Well, that's a Corrigan thing.
Oh,
you know what?
Okay.
We shouldn't speak on this because we don't really.
I don't know, and I've gotten sick of following it. I'm just ready for people to cheer and them to sell tickets again. I'm ready to move on. So I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
They didn't make the 50. Their goal was 50,000 for the tour. We're being told in the room they missed by about 1,000. So they didn't hit the goal. They needed, Sean Cedar did the math, they needed 78 extra people per show to hit the 50,000. So, and that's with doing over 6,000 for the final. So it was close, but they didn't get there. Yeah, I just don't think they can sell the tickets for multiple dome shows right now. I think if business heats back up, it sound, to say once again, once COVID's behind us, I think Japan needs to realize COVID's never going to be behind us, but hey, I don't live there. It's none of my business. Then maybe they'll do the double dome again, but we weren't fans of the way they booked the double domes anyway. So I can't say I'm upset by going back to one. It's better.
Better for us, but I mean, God, the doing the 2-night recording is always rough too. So I'm happy with that. But no, just from aesthetic points, I just think one night Wrestle Kingdom, blow it all out, good matches up and down the card. Instead, we always talked about, hey, when we were previewing these 2-night Wrestle Kingdoms, it was always like, man, think of this just smashed together in one show. It'd be an incredible show. It'd be really, really good stuff. But unfortunately, you had 3 good matches on one night and then 3 good matches on the other night and then a bunch of junk on the undercard. Well, now you could just get rid of a lot of that junk and just it's what made Wrestle Kingdom is the one night for 5 hours. You were just going to get tremendous wrestling up and down the entire show. It got away from that a little bit for business purposes, but I like that it's back there. So New Year's Dash on January 5th as well. So they're still doing the show on January 5th. It's just not going to be Wrestle Kingdom anymore.
Right. Back to the old way it was for, several years.
So Wrestle Kingdom, a bunch of shit will happen, and then the matches will end, and then New Year's Dash, they'll do their whole reset, and it always is pretty good.
And hopefully do some angles, because they don't do it every year. Some years they do angles and reset things at New Year Dash, and some years New Year Dash is just a bunch of 6-man tags.
Yeah.
So, hopefully it's a newsworthy New Year Dash. Should we do Karl Fredericks real quick?
Yeah, we haven't done that yet. Let's talk about old Karl. So from what I understand from wrestlers in the company, I think everyone realizes by now that Karl Fredericks didn't get booked for the G1, went on a crazy Twitter rant, and then his contract expired. Right. Not a work, the crazy Twitter rant, right?
No. The pinned tweet on his Twitter account is him saying that his contract expired on, I believe, August 1st or whatever the date was. So he's done with New Japan officially. He's finished. I think he's took his first couple of indie bookings over the last week. I think he's working.
I've seen him popping up in Prestige and some other places in Southern
West
California.
Coast
West Coast, West Coast stuff.
He's working the United Wrestling Network show, and he's doing some other, West Coast California indies. He's getting back out there, and of course doing his DJing. But he's done with New Japan. None of this is a work. From what I was told, he would have been booked for these Budokans if he didn't blow up on Twitter and part with the company.
Yikes.
I can't say confidently whether he refused to re-sign or chose not to re-sign, or whether they didn't offer him a deal, because I've heard both. But the point is, he isn't signed, and he's done with the company. But I was told he would have been on the Budokans at the end of the tour, because they brought in Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson and people who didn't work the whole G1 tour but came in for the Budokans. And I was also given the booking that he would have been in a multi-man tag on one of the Budokans, teaming with the Chaos guys against House of Torture. They win the match. Carl wins the match. He gets the big spotlight. And the angle was going to be, he was going to be invited into House of Torture. He was going to turn that down and do like a lone wolf, like he's the alpha wolf is his gimmick. So he's going to do like I'm not in a unit kind of gimmick.
Right. Okay.
After turning down House of Torture. And then he would team with the other LA Dojo guys and be paired, and they would be in a program with House of Torture up until Wrestle Kingdom. That was the plan that I was told.
That sounds like a pretty good, decent plan. But
well, I'm not done. Then
no. God damn it, Karl.
So that would have been the kickoff to the
I'm
push.
hearing my man worked himself into a shoot and didn't go well is what I'm gathering here from your story, Joe.
So Budokan would have been the kickoff to the push, and then the feud with House of Torture, and then that also would have involved other House of Torture guys being paired off with LA Dojo guys. So his name's slipping me, the Rhino Hunter guy. Not Coughlin, the other one. The guy who was in Super Junior. Why is his name escaping me?
Clark Connors, right?
Clark Connors. Clark Connors would be programmed with Show, and Fredericks would, be team with those guys against House of Torture, but technically he wouldn't be in a unit. And he would be the spotlight guy. And then that would go to Wrestle Kingdom. And then after Wrestle Kingdom, it would have been the start of his big singles push, the big reset. He would have gotten what was described to me as a star push. Those are the words that were sent to me after Wrestle Kingdom. Oof. So, that's the deal with Karl Fredericks, but he was put off by, obviously this is nothing new. Like, you could look at his Twitter feed. He was very annoyed by not being in the G1. And there was a lot of confusion there. And I was even told that the New Japan side, the office acknowledged that there was some miscommunication and they felt bad about some things. But, at the end of the day, it was just for him, I guess he felt disrespected or, he's not talking to anyone. I can tell you that. So it's kind of hard to get his side. But, the gist of it is, if you just go off his Twitter feed, which is all we have to go on, he felt disrespected and he probably felt like he was lied to. But, there were still plans on the table for him, just not to be in this year's G1 tournament. So, but anyway, those were the plans that I was told from, people on the inside of the company that obviously were wiped away. And if you look at the G1 final card, let me pull that up real quick. You could actually see the match that he probably would have been in.
Oh, you can find a spot.
Well, yeah, it was Goto, Ishii, Yoshihashi, and Yo versus House of Torture. So maybe he would have been in, he would have taken the place of one of those Chaos guys, maybe, or the whole card may have looked different if he was there. I don't know. But the point here is, there was going to be a big angle with House of Torture to kick off his singles push, but he is no longer with the company. So that's Karl Fredericks stuff that I've had that for a couple weeks now, but we just never got around to talking about.
Yeah, we meant to talk about it for 2 straight weeks, and then it just.
What happened was we kept running out of time to talk about G1, and G1 wasn't very exciting to talk about the last couple weeks, so it got put off. I kept, I don't know, I'm not going to get into any of that. But that's what's going on with Karl Fredericks. But, when he's ready to give his side outside of the tweets, the offer is standing. So,
yeah, get at us. We'll...
Can't say I didn't try. But
all right. New Japan also announced a return to New York City in October for Rumble on 44th Street. October 28th at the Palladium. I don't know what the hell the name of the place is. It's not Madison Square Garden. It's a little theater there in Times Square. In addition to members of the New Japan roster, Stardom will also be part of this event as well. So Rumble on 44th Street, October 28th in New York City for New Japan. So there you go. 2 big announcements from them and the G1 Climax finals. So let's get to NXT UK is done, Joe, from WWE.com's official press release. WWE announced today that the NXT brand will grow internationally with the creation. Oh, it's not dead yet. No, we're back. Will grow internationally with the creation of the all-new NXT Europe, with the launch planned for 2023. Quote, following the success of our live event and talent identification efforts throughout all of Europe, we believe this is the perfect time to expand NXT beyond the UK, said Shawn Michaels, WWE Vice President of Talent Development Creative. One sec. WWE Vice President of Talent Development Creative. There you go. Launched in 2016, NXT UK has received critical acclaim and developed WWE main roster talents such as Rhea Ripley, Doudrop, Gunther, and Butch. NXT Europe. I can't read that sentence.
Butch
has developed WWE main roster talent such as Rhea Ripley, Doudrop, Gunther, and Butch. Oh,
thank you. Lineup of names. Doudrop and Butch and Gunther.
Thank you, NXT UK, for developing Walter.
Yeah.
Pete Dunne. Thank you for identifying and developing Pete Dunne.
Yeah. An absolute factory. A lot of work that took.
To give us Walter and Pete Dunne. And then Fucking, you're gonna tout Rhea Ripley and Doudrop? I mean, come on.
Thank you for perfectly competent wrestler Doudrop. Thank you.
Right, thank you. NXT Europe will reimagine the brand and its talent pipeline with a pan-European focus. Prior to the debut of NXT Europe, Worlds Collide, a premium live event featuring NXT and NXT UK superstars, will be presented live on Sunday, September 4th at 4 p.m. Eastern on Peacock in the United States and the award-winning WWE Network everywhere else. I added the award.
Where are you reading this?
WWE.com's official press release.
Did you know that? I don't know if you noticed this. You know how they feed stories to news outlets to pretend that news outlets are
Fox
covered?
News was the first with this one, which was incredible.
Fox News?
You're gonna give.
What happened there?
Well, why wouldn't you give it to, like, I don't know, like a European-based or like a UK-based news organization? Seems like a better.
This was Louis Dangore's time to shine.
Exactly. That man ran on a treadmill with Trent Seven and Butch, and for what? And for what?
Give it to Dangor, I say.
Yeah, Wrestle Talk, right? Is he a Wrestle Talk guy? I forget where. Give it to Wrestle Talk. What about Cultaholic? No, Cultaholic? They lost their number?
Dangor is give me sport, sir.
Oh, yeah, that's correct. Give me sport, yes.
Give me sport. You're, how dare you?
Yeah.
But no, yeah, Fox News? How did that came out? That's not one of their
so
usuals.
Weird.
You know what I love? They give nothing to Satin. Nothing. Right. Their biggest cheerleader. How do you not give it to Satin? I mean, that guy can't get a fucking crumb.
No, they give it to Barrasso before they'd give it to Satin for sure. Yeah,
He's been interviewing non-WWE people too. Like they give him nothing,
and he gives them everything. So.
Yes, I gotta be honest.
It's a
nobody
bad
grovels.
Yeah,
nobody grovels like that man, and they still give him nothing. Like, how many fucking bowls of cereal did he piss in his 1 month doing satin sheet on the fucking whatever that was called on FS1, fucking the bump V.1, whatever. What the fuck was that with Puckheads?
I don't remember. Yeah, the Smack Talk. No, it wasn't Smack Talk.
What
was the WWE Backstage? Was it called Backstage? What was the dumb CM Punk show?
I don't know.
Paige and WWE Backstage. I think it was WWE Backstage.
Booker T, I believe, was on that show.
Yeah.
Christian, right?
Sure. I didn't watch much of WWE Backstage, Joe. I can't lie. I can't lie. So, did
you see the host of The Bump is now one of the commentators on NXT Level Up?
Oh, I thought there was wasn't there another random dude that was on NXT Level Up, or is this the random guy?
No, this is now another. That's a 3-man booth now.
Uh-oh.
They need 3 men for this for Level Up. No, the guy on the bump, the blonde guy, the white dude on the bump.
You got to be more specific than the white guy. I think there's a couple.
Rich has never seen The Bump.
Why would I ever watch The Bump?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
because I thought Level Up was like what's it, a Sudu Shah or whatever, right? Wasn't that his name?
Sudu Shah and Nigel McGuinness.
Yeah. So who's this other guy?
The guy from The Bump. This is what I'm trying to tell you.
I don't know his name. I'm asking you what his name is.
Well,
just the guy from The Bump, the blonde guy from The Bump. Because there's the other guy from The Bump who makes a lot of like really weird Sasha Banks tweets all the time, or used to, I guess, make a lot of really weird Sasha Banks tweets all the time. Not implying that like anything, like just that he really, really likes Sasha Banks. I knew that guy. And then there's
Rich,
obviously Kayla Braxton,
Kayla Becker.
Oh, they changed her name?
Well, Kayla Becker is the yes. Well, that's her real name, but she's okay. Kayla Braxton.
Is it Matt? I think Matt Camp is the guy. Is that the guy that's doing the Level Up?
Yeah, Level Up.
Oh, he's not blonde. Oh, he's not blonde. That's the guy I was thinking of. He's definitely not blonde. You're wrong.
Excuse me.
Yeah, he's not blonde. Matt Camp from WWE's The Bump is not.
Well, he's been doing The Bump. He's been doing Level Up now. Okay. Is what I'm trying to tell you.
Good for him, Matt Camp.
Matt Camp of
Matt Camp.
WWE's The Bump is now doing Level Up. That's all I was saying.
Okay, all right.
You're right. He's not blonde.
I mean, that's why I was thrown off. I was like, well, I don't know.
Oh, please. Like, you would have known the difference.
I know Matt, because he's the one that makes the weird Sasha Banks tweets. So.
Oh, he does?
Yeah,
I don't know anything
he just like really likes Sasha Banks. He like really, really likes Sasha Banks. Or did. I don't know if he's still.
Is he allowed to like her anymore?
Yeah, I don't know if he likes her as much anymore these days. Pending. His like is pending. Well, anyway, NXT UK, things are going great. They're going to now do NXT Europe, so grow internationally. Shawn Michaels says, following the success of our live events and talent identification efforts, we believe this is the perfect time to expand beyond the UK. So they are expanding beyond the UK. You've saw some of the NXT UK guys popping up on NXT. Gallus has arrived on NXT. I know you were all waiting for Gallus to arrive on NXT, and they have.
I had the song prepared and I forgot.
That's all right. So you can do it in your. Last time we did, we got a copyright strike, so it's probably best we don't do that. So. You can just do your rendition. Yeah, do your rendition. It is a very close rendition, but the dumb AI from YouTube cannot possibly find it. So
hey now, no one.
I for one cannot wait for Gallus. I love Gallus. Like ironically, but then also kind of unironically. I'm not sure. It's like a weird. It started off like these guys are ridiculous. Then it got ironic, and then I think it got unironic, and now it might be ironic again. I'm not quite sure, but they're there. Tyler Bates NXT UK champion Tyler Bates showed up. Careful now. I hear it back there. It's very low, but that's fine. We don't want to get. I don't want that copyright strike again. Okay. So.
I think I'm gonna fuck to the Gallus theme. What do you think?
It sounds honestly not a bad one. Yeah,
that's a horrible one actually.
But if you're wearing like a cowboy hat or whatever, can work. So,
which doesn't make sense for these three.
It never once made sense for these guys. I never understood how you saw those men, which look at Gallus, go look at a picture of Gallus, and said, you know what's good? Spurs hitting like dirt, and then like horse-drawn like Western music.
Well, listen, now that guy that tweeted us is going to boil your arse.
Yeah. That guy rocked. Yeah, that guy rolled.
Yep.
I hope I run into him in Ireland. I think he was Scottish, right? He was a Scottish man.
No, I don't know. He seems like a soccer hooligan.
Yeah, I don't want to run into him in Ireland. He'll fuck my ass up. So.
Yeah.
I'll cheer for the wrong footy team, and he'll get fucking upset and.
I'll forget it. Yeah.
Drive me behind his car afterwards. So. All right, so that's exciting news. As I said, Tyler Bate, NXT UK champion, showed up on NXT. Just one problem: the NXT UK title tournament still ongoing. So, spoiler alert: Tyler Bate is probably going to win the NXT UK title tournament since he showed up on NXT with the title. Even though the
hey, Rich, the tweet's still up. You ready?
Yeah.
We wrote. No Ono, Dunn, Devlin, Achner, Bartel, Wolf, or Ripley on TakeOver is baffling and doesn't help NXT UK's reputation as a boring, unessential brand. I will never understand their obsession with Gallus. That's the tweet.
Yep.
Here's the reply from this fella who looks like he just got done fighting in a bar.
He looks like a soccer hooligan so much. Close your eyes and think of what a soccer hooligan looks like. It's this guy. He's bald. He's got like red. He's got like a red goatee, right? Isn't he bald with a red goatee?
No, he's just a bald guy with like, you know what? He does have like a little red
That's goatee. Yeah, he'll fuck your ass up, dude.
A little molestache. So here's what he replied. Away and boil your head, you arse piece. Gallus are the Badgers Nadgers. So totally owned us.
Yeah, he fucking owned us. Yeah, I mean, we never. I don't think I tweeted about Gallus ever again. He shook me to the core.
No, I was scared because this guy was going to find us. But he wants us to boil your head, you arse piece.
Boil your head, you arse piece.
He spelled it "your" like W.
Yeah, boil your head. Yeah,
and then head HEID. Like, this is some kind of fucking Scottish shit, right? Like, this is like...
Yeah, it's, I think, loosely translating from Google, it says it means get lost. So it's a, translation.
Boil your head, you arse piece.
Yeah, away and boil your head. So, yeah, basically get lost.
Yeah.
Hit the bricks.
Because Gallus are the Badgers Nadgers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all right. How did Wolfgang last so long in a major league company?
Well, hold on a minute. What are you talking about? What do you mean?
Oh, they're still there. That's right. They didn't get cut.
Yeah. Slow down there, pal.
Right.
So yeah, exciting news: the expansion of NXT UK, and then they released pretty much everybody except for the people that we just mentioned, Gallus and Tyler Bates and a few other guys. The list as of this writing appears to be The Wild Boar.
Slow down. Give me 5 at a time, and I'll give you short thoughts on 1 or 2 of them.
I was going to give you 1 at a time.
Oh, well, we don't have time for that shit. Give me 5 at a time.
All right. The Wild Boar.
Uh-huh.
Jack Stars with a Z.
Right.
Mark Andrews. Flash Morgan Webster. And Shaw Samuels.
All right. Mark Andrews, I mean, he can... If I were AEW, I'd be interested. He's very good.
Yeah.
I happen to love Wild Boar, but I don't know if
you understand that, yeah, not everybody. Wild Boar isn't for everybody, so.
Look, here's the thing. I think RevPro is licking their chops at this list, and they can't use them all, obviously, but there's going to be some obvious ones that RevPro is going to bring in. But a lot of these people are just going to fade into oblivion because there's no scene over there anymore, largely because of them. They
killed it because they were part of killing it.
So they go back to a scene that doesn't exist. But anyway, next 5.
Next 5. All right. Ashton Smith, Millie McKenzie, Dave Mastiff, Nina Samuels, and the Primate.
I'd take a look at Nina Samuels. I would take a long, hard look at her.
Yeah, she's got a good look.
I would take a look at her. I've never seen anything in Millie McKenzie. Who else do we? Oh, Mastiff, who I always hated that guy. I can't stand that guy.
Rumbling and shit too. Yeah,
he's so off-putting. That guy. I've never been a fan of Mastiff. Anyway, next 5.
Next 5. So anything about the Primate? You skipped over the Primate.
Oh, Primate. Yeah. Well, listen.
I know you have something to say about the Primate.
If we're booking Joe Lanza Pro Wrestling, then there's no doubt about it. Wild Boar and Primate are coming in. And I'm not even being ironic. Like, I'm booking those guys.
No, the Primate looks... I mean, if you've never seen what the Primate looks like, it's a look.
Yeah.
It's certainly a look. So, next 5 here are Danny Luna, Rohan Raja, Amelie, Sam Gradwell, and Kenny Williams.
That Raja guy, he is a brick shithouse.
Yes, he is.
I don't know why they cut him. They're constantly trying to do this India thing. I assume he's Indian. He's South Asian at minimum. If he's like Pakistani or something, I'm sorry, I apologize. But I think he's an Indian guy.
I think you're right. I don't know off the top of my head, but I think you're right. I believe he's Indian.
Fucking look at him.
Yeah, he looks like, he has a great look. I'd sign him immediately.
You want to talk about the Badgers Nadgers? I mean, take a look at this dude. Who else did we have there? Anyone interesting?
No, not really. Sam Gradwell, Kenny Williams, Amelie. These...
Sam Gradwell, he's the second coming of Stone Cold.
I still don't get it. I don't want to get it either. Unfortunately, we have a new... So these names have not been official. They haven't done any, sad tweets or whatever. A few of these people have. But the other members that have been added to the WWE alumni section, which is never a good thing.
Right.
Trent Seven, which after all of his tweets, is now got to come back to the scene.
Collar tugging.
And say, hey... So how about British wrestling, guys? And they're all going to say, yeah, what about it, Trent? Not the way, Trent. Not the way. Zaya Brookside appears to be on the alumni section as well.
That's a shocker. That's a shocker.
Yeah, I can't imagine you can't find something for her to do.
That's a shocker.
Eddie Dennis, my guy Eddie Dennis.
Yeah, a shame. Quit his teaching job.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if he ever went back, but...
I'm not sure either. Saxton Huxley.
Yeah.
Sid Scala appears finally to have been let go.
Yeah.
Tyson T-Bone.
Oh, man.
I know.
T-Bone. Tyson T-Bone.
Teal Man, the former Lucky Kid.
Okay.
And I believe, Joe, Johnny Saint has also been told to...
The corpse of Johnny Saint.
I saw a great tweet that just said, the best part of NXT UK is that, these people came in here into this scene that they knew nothing about. They saw Johnny Saint and went, hell, Johnny Saint, that's a name that everybody knows. And, decided that he was going to be their talking guy. Their GM, but can't talk. So they spent 5 years having him stand in the corner with his arms crossed while Sid Scala said, Johnny Saint is making this match. It's so bad. What was this brand? What was this?
Do you think Johnny Saint was aware he was still employed?
Tangentially,
possibly
yes.
not, right?
Yeah, maybe, but
what was he being paid for?
I don't know. Yeah, my man was 81, so whatever. But this was
good for him pulling those checks all those years. No, look, and we're probably missing some names. This is a developing kind of
Yeah. This is as of the 18th at 10 p.m. I'm sure many more people are getting their watch. If they haven't showed up on NXT yet, probably not good. They're probably done.
They brought all the ones to NXT that they're.
What are you gonna make? What's this NXT Europe gonna be?
Exactly. Those are my two thoughts. Number one, you're gonna do NXT Europe, but now you don't have any wrestlers.
So all these people, a lot of these people are not gonna come back. Maybe some of these people will come back, but a lot of them are probably gonna say, "All right, that chapter of my life is done. I'm good. I'm out." Who are you signing then from in Europe?
There are undoubtedly some wrestlers on this list that will fade into oblivion and never wrestle again. There are wrestlers on this list that RevPro is going to bring in and use. There are wrestlers on this list that WWE will probably bring back when they start up the Europe thing. They might just be saving, 7 months of money by, I don't know. It's just bizarre. Like, you want to start up something you basically want to do NXT UK redo version 2.0, but you got rid of it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it.
Very bizarre.
Some of them, there's a couple names there. Look, Trent Seven is an excellent pro wrestler. Mark Andrews is an excellent pro wrestler. I think Nina Samuels is someone that that looks like she belongs on TV. So there's some people here that I would kick the tires on, if I were AEW. But yeah, mostly, Sam Gradwell. I mean, he's a top 10 wrestler in the world, according to some people, and the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. But a lot of them are just going to, those are real takes, by the way, but a lot of them are just going to disappear, and you're never going to hear from them again. They don't have a scene to go back to. So maybe they'll reinvigorate.
I was going to say they can redo it. I mean, I'm
sure Progress will take half of these dopes, right?
Yeah, they could use it. Fucking Jesus Christ, Progress. The state of Progress right now is unbelievable. But yeah, I don't know. It's a very, very weird story, developing story. So we'll see what ends up happening. But long rest in peace NXT UK, and long live NXT.
Keep an eye
Europe.
on Fox News for the latest on NXT Europe.
UK.
So,
what in the world? So weird. But there you go. All right, well, while we're in the United Kingdom, let's talk about RevPro. Doubleheader coming up from RevPro this weekend, celebrating their 10th anniversary, back-to-back York Hall shows, August 20th and August 21st. Have we figured out their on-demand service yet?
Are these WWE wrestlers free and clear? Can they pop up on as surprises?
I don't know. Someone with a little bit more knowledge of the scene. I don't know. It seemed like...
That'd be pretty dirty to give them non-competes or something.
Yeah.
And would a non-compete even apply to an indie? Like, I don't know how that works either.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, because it'd be super cool to, like, this show to watch and just, dudes pop up. Mark Andrews pops up, guys. But yeah, that'd be really cool to see.
Anyway.
Yeah, there you go. So this 2 nights in York Hall. August 20th, August 21st. August 20th has Will Ospreay versus Speedball Mike Bailey. Strong openweight tag titles. Aussie Open defending against Destination Everywhere. Chantel Jordan versus Maya Matthews. A strap match between Shota Umino and Yota Tsuji. Connor Mills versus Tony Deppen. And then Undisputed British Cruiserweight Championship. Luke Jacobs defending the title against Francesco Akira. So that's
a hell of a show.
That's a hell of a show. And I'd say August 21st is just as good, if not even better. Greedy Souls versus Destination Everywhere. Luke Jacobs versus Tony Deppen. Southside Women's Championship, Kanji versus the winner of Chantel Jordan and Mae Matthews from the night before.
Are they going to merge these titles? Because they've merged all the other titles.
Yeah, I imagine at some point.
Do we need that secondary women's title running around?
I don't think we do. Yeah, especially with that women's division right now. I don't think they do.
Yeah.
But Mike Bailey versus Leon Slater. And then the top 2 matches, Undisputed British Tag Team titles, Sunshine Machine versus the Velocities. And then your main event, Undisputed British Heavyweight title, Will Ospreay versus Ricky Knight Jr. So those look like 2 really, really good shows. So I will definitely be carving out time this weekend to watch both of those.
It sure feels like they've been building to Ricky Knight Jr. taking the title off of Ospreay. But with the way they told the story with Oku in the match we talked about earlier, I almost feel like Oku has to beat Ospreay. The way the Oku match played out in March or whenever it was gave me pause on thinking that this is just all designed to go to Ricky Knight Jr. So I'm not as confident that Ricky Knight Jr. is going to win this as I was when they started this whole story. So I don't want to even think about it too hard, because that's a match I'm looking forward to. I want to sit in front of TV, put it on, suspend my disbelief, and watch Will Ospreay try to make a star.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Yeah, I don't know. I've predicted a lot of times that it's like, hey, Will might lose this time, and like they've seemed pretty much like they've wanted to. They're very protective, very, very, very protective of Will and him winning that title and that sort of stuff. So who knows? It's very possible he retains it, but I kind of definitely it feels like the right time for Ricky Knight Jr. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But either way, yeah, it sounds like two really, really good shows. August 20th, Will versus Speedball. Circle that one. I mean, that has a chance to be fucking phenomenal given where things have gone. So there you go with that. Real quickly, let's get to these final two topics here. Impact Wrestling Emergence. I was there live at the Cicero Stadium for this show. Joe, you have not seen it yet. I don't know that we need to go match by match. I can give you kind of quick thoughts since we are running a little bit low on time. I will tell you, go out of your way to watch Josh Alexander and Alex Shelley. 27 minutes, 29 seconds. Josh Alexander wins. These guys, tons of just a great story being told. Shelley was just phenomenal in this match. Josh Alexander is good as always. Go out of your way to watch this match. This was phenomenal. The crowd was not as into it as I was kind of hoping they were going to be. You know, it was me and a few other people were like really, really into this match. A lot of the other crowd wasn't so much. I don't know if
Okay, well then let me ask you, how was the crowd? Good crowd?
It was iffy. It wasn't a great crowd.
How filled was the building?
It was good. Yeah, it was good. I don't know if I have an exact estimate because the setup was a little bit different than what I've seen usually in this
percentage-wise of the seats.
The seats-wise, like, I would say a good 90% of the seats that they had. It's a little weird at the Cicero Stadium because they have, like, these bleachers. Every seat that was on the floor was sat in. Every single seat. And there was even people that were walking up, looking around, didn't have seats, and they found seats for those people. So the floor was filled. The floor was absolutely filled. There's, like, a bleacher section. There's, like, stone bleachers in this place. It's a really old school kind of, stadium built in the 20s or whatever. So that was mostly full, though, as well. So I would say it was a very, like, healthy crowd numbers-wise.
So they drew a nice house, but the crowd itself, it wasn't a hot crowd.
So, and this is always a problem when you run in Cicero. And people that don't live in Chicago might not quite get this, but MLW found this out, and a few other companies found this out, that when you run in Cicero, the best thing to do is load up your show with Lucha guys. Load up your show. Because when MLW ran the Cicero Stadium, they were smart. They put Roosh on top. Half that building couldn't give two shits about anything else going on in MLW. Then when Roosh came out, he was the biggest fucking star in the world.
Right.
Those people were there for Roosh. Those people were... And in this case, Bandito and Rey Horus was the most over match on the entire night. Those people came for Bandito and Rey Horus. There were people that there were clearly like Impact fans that were there, but I would say not a majority, but a good percentage of the fans that were there for Bandito and Rey Horus, or were there for guys that they had heard of before. Didn't really care that much about, you know, Honor No More versus the Bullet Club or Josh Alexander versus Alex Shelley. The Impact fans that were there, the people that followed Impact, it was clear what matches they cared about and who they cared about, but I would say a very large percentage of the crowd didn't really give two shits about much else, but Bandito and Rey Horus, they went nuts for. Black Taurus was on the opener, like the pre-show. He got a huge reaction. So it was all, the Lucha guys ended up getting bigger reactions than a lot of the other Impact guys. So from that standpoint, it kind of sucked because there were some big-time matches on the show that didn't feel like they had the crowd fully behind them.
So Cicero used to be heavy Italian population for many decades in the early part of the 20th century.
Correct.
It's more Latino now. Do you know if it's Mexican specifically, or like what's the demographic?
Yeah, I would say it's Mexican specifically. I would venture that, yeah, it is. The problem, though, there is still some Italian in there, and the Italians still kind of run the show there. There's the mayor of Cicero is still a very Italian man. There's still some kind of landmark Italian eateries and stuff there, but yeah, predominantly Mexican at this point.
Right. So, which is what you're saying. There's a lot of Lucha fans in and around there because aren't there Chicago Lucha promotions that run around that area too?
Yeah. Like Galley Lucha runs a lot. There's Total
yeah.
Lucha is another one that runs here. There's a few companies that run here, and the smart companies that have run this particular venue, like I said, MLW did it right. They stacked their show with luchadors. Now I went to an Evolve in Progress show there, and the Evolve show, nobody really cared about anything. The Progress show people did care about, but that I could tell was people traveling all across.
Oh, traveling fans.
Yeah, they were traveling in, whereas this felt more like probably really good local promotion. We're telling people from the neighborhood, hey, come to this wrestling show, come to wrestling. But then they came and they were greeted with, you know, Sami Callihan versus Steve Macklin, and they didn't really give a shit about Sami Callihan and Steve Macklin. But Bandito came out, and he was a fucking megastar. Rey Horus came out, he was a star. Those guys were stars. Black Taurus was a star. So, yeah, I would say Impact, I mean, it's a cool building. It's a really, really cool building. Aesthetically, it's pretty cool. I think they just have to, if they do run this building ever again, be a little bit more aware of what the local fans or the neighborhood fans, what they want out of their wrestling shows more so than what Impact Wrestling fans want out of their wrestling show. Or just your AEW fans, your normal kind of indie people that would go to these shows.
Yeah. So what was the best match on the show?
Best match on the show, clearly Josh Alexander, Alex Shelley, I would say. Mike Bailey and Jack Evans, a little disappointing. I expected a little bit more. Not bad, but I expected a little bit more out of that one. Bandito Rey Horus was fine. I've those guys I think have better matches in them, and I've seen them have better matches. I will say one thing: Kushida, that dude is 10,000 times less over than he was a couple years ago. Nobody gave a shit about Kushida being there. I saw the same thing on New Japan too. When he came out for that G1 Climax, it's like Kushida, and it's like okay, yeah. Dude, I think I don't know.
He could have a repackage coming.
Yeah, I think he needs one. I think he's lost so much, so him just kind of coming back and being the same guy is not going to do it.
I mean, there was talk of a repackaging for him, and I think they're waiting for the right timing. So he could use a fresh coat of paint.
And then Sami Callihan, Steve Macklin, it was just, Sami Callihan walk and brawl shit, so no real interest there. Yeah. The Honor No More versus Bullet Club was chaotic and kind of, if you're following the story, it was fun. I enjoyed watching it. Work-wise, not really that great, but still pretty fun. Honor No More wins, so they can stay aligned. Hikuleo, man, I don't know about Hikuleo. He
didn't look good?
He did not look good, and he was so bad that they needed to have a way to get him out of the match. I don't even know what he took, and nobody knew what he took, and nobody in the building knew. He got hit by something. I think Matt Taven hit him with something. He sold for, this match was 15 minutes, 48 seconds. I think he sold for 12 minutes on the outside.
So he got his bell rung.
I don't know if he got his bell rung or they just wanted to keep him out of the match because they didn't know how to kind of put him in there. They didn't know what to do with him type of thing. So I don't know what happened, but he just was out there. Then Jordan Grace, Mia Yim was really, really good. It was a really good knockouts match. I'd say Alexander and Alex Shelley blew it out of the water. But if you had to watch, I would say maybe the final two. I would say Grace and Yim, you definitely have to watch. Alexander and Shelley, you have to watch. And I would say the Honor No More Bullet Club, you should check out. Because that was fun, at least.
All right. That's, what was the name of that show?
That was Emergence. Yeah, that's on Fight as well, if you want to check that out. voicesofwrestling.com/fight. So real quickly, before we get out of here, it's starting tonight. The West Coast Pro, we've talked about them, one of our favorite indies going right now. They're hosting their first ever West Coast Cup 2-night tournament on independentwrestling.tv. Pretty loaded lineup here. You got Titus Alexander versus Chris Sabin in a first-round matchup. It was supposed to be Davey Richards versus Levi Shapiro. Something happened with Davey. He is not going to be there. But they put Alan Angels in his place. So I think that's a pretty suitable replacement for me. That'll work. Alpha Zoe versus Masha Slamovich. Commander versus Midas Creed. Gravity versus Viento. Who's one of those is Bandito's brother. I want to say Gravity is. Does that sound right? Yeah, one of them is Bandito's brother. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly. I forget which one is which. Gravity is Bandito's brother. D-Rogue versus Starboy Charlie. Nick Wayne versus Brian Keith. I got my circled that one for sure. Then Vinny Massaro versus Jarrell Nelson. So a lot of interesting things there. I'd say Titus Alexander. I feel like it's got to have him win this tournament, right?
I mean, I watch most of their shows, and
Brian Keith's a good call too. They push him pretty heavily.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a good enough feel for it, to be honest.
Yeah, it should be a fun tournament regardless. Looks like some pretty fun names. Nick Wayne and Brian Keith and Titus Alexander, Chris Sabin, his first round matchups all sound good. Vinny Massaro, a little resurrection in West Coast Pro. Maybe you think he books himself to win this whole thing?
I know we fuck with him, but he's really not the booker.
I know, okay, and he has pointed it out to us many times. But yeah, he's not. He just wins. He gets these big profile matches, and you're like, oh, okay. Well, Pencil Man getting himself the big bookie, but he is not. He is not actually the booker. So
no, I mean, it looks good. And then you have the Jacob Fatu, Mike Bailey.
Yeah. So the second night of it, there's a West Coast championship match. Jacob Fatu versus Mike Bailey. So that should be pretty fun.
Do these tournaments always have to shoehorn one woman?
Just one though. Yes, it's always got to be one. Yeah, because AEW has a tournament they're starting now. There's like 19 people and then one woman as always.
It's the JT Lightning. It's a 24-man tournament, and they shoehorned in one. Like, are they that scared of people tweeting at them where they have to?
Yeah, but then never two though. Never two. Just one.
You know, I mean,
gotta have
I
one.
mean, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm gonna leave it at that. And we're out of time anyway, and I don't want to get it. But I don't understand why. What is the? I mean, I don't. End the show, Rich.
Before you get into trouble. So, all right. So that is it for us on the flagship. This has been a very eventful show. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Flagship, patreon.com, as we mentioned, $5 tier, $10 tier for all of our bonus content. That is the Thursday Dynamite reviews. That is all of the VOW retro stuff. Just finished up the Beach Bash series. Should have a brand new Goldberg 173-1 episode for you very, very soon as well. A bonus episode of Beach Bash. Myself and Aaron Quinn watching the Baywatch Bash at the Beach. Yes, they did a Baywatch at Bash of the Beach 1995, so we talk about that episode, watch it live. Plenty of other stuff on there. All of our written content as well over on the $10 tier. I wrote a little bit of a love letter to SummerSlam 2002 earlier. You've been writing TV reviews and some other columns as well, so just random match reviews. Bunch of stuff available there at flagship, patreon.com, as well as all of our live stuff as well. And we made a little bit of a hint. We'll see. Keep an eye on that flagship, patreon.com, because maybe next week you're going to get an instant reaction if all things go well after AEW Dynamite. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But you got that, a lot of other stuff available at flagship, patreon.com, as well as our archive of everything we've done over the years there. Also, the Voice of Wrestling Podcast Network. Make sure you subscribe to that, as well as the Flagship Feed. Subscribe to that on all of your apps so we can move up the ladder and get more people listening to this stuff here. More people enjoying the Discord, more people enjoying flagshippatreon.com, more people enjoying these no-dope chat rooms and all the other stuff as well. voiceofwrestling.com/Discord as well if you want to join the Discord chat that we have going on. Always, always lively, all times of the day, all times of the night. Particularly on Wednesdays during Dynamite, just never stops there. Honestly, the AEW channels never stop at all on our Discord. So if you like AEW, you like talking about AEW, that is a great place to do it. But we have all wrestling discussion going on there, everywhere, every region, every company. There's some discussion going on at voiceswrestling.com/Discord. So that is it for us. Also, thank you to our sponsor, HelloFresh, hellofresh.com/VOW16. Promo code VOW16 to get 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. So that is it for us. For Joe Lanza, I'm Rich Craich. We'll talk to you next time on the Flagship Podcast. Take care.